live and then go live again.
Yeah, I pressed it. It was down the bottom right-hand corner of mine. I thought it was as soon as I entered studio, it would go live. Stupid freaking thing.
Green Lungs, Gear Changer, Tassie, Wombats, Mongrel. How are you?
420 fam.
Mongrel. How are you? I'll pause that now. We don't need that. There we go.
Evening.
Oh, yeah.
Evening, how are you?
Yeah, well, I'm good, and he's good. It's good to hear.
Hey. How the hell are we?
We're good. We're cold. We've got a heater going.
Oh, wow.
Use a cold, mate. I don't think you know what cold is right now.
No.
No, mate. It's a freezing 16.2 degrees.
Yes. Take 10 degrees off that, and you had what it was at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, cold in there, mate.
I had the heater running. At the end of the house, it was still only 12 degrees up the other end of the house.
Wow. Wow. That's intense, isn't it?
Yep.
Wombats, Dave, Green Lungs, g'day. Gear, g'day, Gear. Mongrel's there, yeah, and Green Lungs. Dave, 1969. Cold in Victoria.
It
then
is cold.
some dude mentioned it.
Sorry, what was that cave? What was that cave, Monty?
Kandahar Giant. I've talked to Nexus about it before.
Yeah. So you have heard of this technique? Yeah.
Yeah, familiar with that.
Apparently they found a Vimana or something in the cave it was in, or something like in the area as well.
Well, we had joined today. It's fucking big as a fucking.
I don't know. The first sort of story I ever heard of it was that they'd actually entered the cave system when it freaking attacked them. But the guy telling the story from like Soldier K or whatever he says, I fucking said he'd come out at them.
That is a pretty gnarly story, man. You'd be pretty perplexed at why this thing's not dropping when you're firing into its face.
Yeah, I can't talk about that. I'm still under NDA. You still under NDA? Did you have to sign an NDA? You can't. I can't even confirm or deny that.
Yeah. And so, like,
But when the military say we can neither confirm or deny it, it means yes.
Yeah, usually so.
The flight existed, so obviously, something came back. They don't just fly that shit around for no.
There's rumours of a UFO being recovered in the same sort of area as well.
Actually, I have some video footage of UFOs from Afghanistan that I can probably show you.
That'd be good to see.
How can I share that? I can share a screen, but does it allow you to share a video file?
Hey, look. If you press the
I can share a video file.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just have to find where it is in my hard drive. Just give us a sec. Because this stuff perplexed us. It's been declassified, so I can't show it. So.
Hey, Hookster.
Hey, Hookster.
Someone wrote in the comments of the Kandahar Giant, this was one of his favourite rabbit holes to go down, and then the other rabbit hole, his favourite rabbit hole, was the missing 411. And like, I'd never heard of that, so I looked into it, and it's a whole heap of people gone missing from forests, like hunters and stuff, just vanished off the face of the earth through North America. And there's a documentary on it called like the 411 missing / the hunted. So like it sort of like I'd come up at the same thing when I was looking for Nephilims. So like it must be. I'm only 10 minutes into the hour-long documentary when I had to come on here. So I think it's going to lead into those.
Going to the Nephilim, when you read back on them, they say they lived in houses of stone, round circles of stone, right? So I was looking at this, and I found places in Africa where old stone circles and shit like that exist, and they're from way, way long ago, like fucking Stone Age times, right? People have looked at these and said that they represent some of the images used that they put into carbon when they make a computer chip.
Mm.
You know how they have like a negative and they put that negative inside the car and it rearranges all the things into places so the gates are where they are and open and close how they're meant to be. It's like a photo negative. So that's sort of best way I can explain it. Well, a computer exists made out of rocks on the planet. Apparently, these rocks it's like a large rudimentary computer because these elements can be used in the same way.
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
At first, they thought they were for cattle, but there's no entrance or exit.
Something fall down.
Taxi.
Something fall down. Oh, that's all right.
Oh my God!
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I got that file queued up for when you want it PTP.
Monty's on the. We're on
How do I
Monty's
do
channel. Down the bottom where we all are showing up, there should be an extra one now. Yeah, and you add that to the screen. There'll be 4 of us now, and that should be the extra screen. And then if you want to make it full screen, on our little screen, there's like a shape of a person. I think if you hit that, it's full screen.
Yeah. So, like, I get to. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Does that? Sorry if that's going to cause you some flashbacks, mate.
No, that's all right. I already watched that one. So. Oh, well, no, that's not the. No, that's different. I thought that was going to be that Tiger M getting ambushed.
Yeah. See the targets just hanging there?
Yep.
That's thermal imaging.
Spaced evenly apart too.
Yeah, but look beneath them. Look what they're doing. We think they were trying to evaporate moisture out of the atmosphere. We think that we're trying to refuel.
Yeah. Wow, they're definitely gas and exhaust and something, aren't they?
Yeah, man, that's thermal.
And something tiny out the top but longer out the bottom.
Yep. We couldn't help ourselves. We had to fire a couple of missiles at them, but
of course.
It's like you got target lock, you got approval, you press the go button. Why not? There you go, and it's still there. It destroyed the missile, and it didn't move, didn't budge it, didn't scratch it. It still hung there.
What's happening?
You want me to back that up and back that up and show you that again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
Missile. And that was at 28. What the fuck? I had to look at the timestamp there.
Yeah.
It did nothing.
It did nothing. There he is. Look.
What the fuck?
Yeah, did not phase them.
Didn't phase it, mate. And these pricks were watching us for days and days and days.
Fuckers.
Wow. You wondering what the fuck they are? I wondering what the fuck you were up to.
Did they go back up out of space?
They eventually just disappeared. Like we fired another round at them, and then they sent in a couple of F-18s to have a closer look.
Yeah.
And then they just vanished. They just suddenly they weren't there.
Yeah.
Theory is they're transdimensional.
Yeah, there's a few theories getting around.
I've heard Italians reckon that there's some sort of fucking frequency you have to hit them at, or hit them with a fucking
538 hertz.
And hit them with a fucking titanium. Oh, not the titanium, the fucking nuclear rod. Fucking.
Yeah, see the thing
to be able to pierce them.
They're not there when the round arrives. It's like
Yeah, they just phase out.
it's like they it's like they it's
Hey,
like
look,
they suddenly phase into another dimension or something.
Back
They're
that up,
occupying the
Nexus.
same.
Someone wrote in
They're,
private text straight away.
yeah, I'll back it up to before the impact, which is somewhere there.
Yeah. Fucking, yeah, it was at 28:10, I think, just before the impact.
28:10.
Yep. That was the first thing I looked. Yeah, so, oosh. Look at that. And it doesn't even shower onto the second one. The first one takes it out. Look at that. It like it almost directed it at the second one. Like it fucking bounced off that first one and made you, like, went upwards.
I'll let you get on with that. I'm going to go up and see the missus.
All right, mate.
Sorry about your coffee cup.
That was
that's
some
all
weird
right.
shit.
Picked it up and put it outside in the kitchen.
that is weird, yeah.
And they fucking about the temperature of that missile coming in too. Wow, they did not phase at all. Weren't phased by it. Didn't give a fuck. Just
What
sat there
sort of
thumbing their nose.
Mate, they
what
just.
sort of
We think that, man. We think they're in atmosphere refueling.
Yeah, I've seen pilots say that they do the same things. They come down into our atmosphere and fucking charge up
Oxygen.
in the ionosphere, fucking start glowing, and then fuck off again.
So they must be using
Where
oxygen
people-
to extremely good,
Yeah.
useful.
You notice
people
how
say they
you,
recharge
you
up
Did
and
it?
you
all
Did
notice.
it? Hey, Green Lungs. It fully, the first one fucking just made it fucking miss it, so it went at the second one, and the second one took it out.
Yeah, like there. We're coming in any
Spent
second.
fuel.
Yeah.
That could be spent
2809 it comes in. And look at them, they'll just fucking start fueling or refueling, whatever the fuck that is.
Well, whatever it is, it's hot because that's infrared.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hot.
I was
That's what I
gonna
mean.
ask
It's as
what
hot as the missile coming in, too. Like, so
Yeah,
at least we.
oh,
See? Look at that.
Depression.
It bounces off them and leaves a trail.
Yeah,
Bounces off that first one and leaves a trail off its shield. Like it has a fucking shield.
it does. Yeah.
It must, obviously. It fucking cunts.
Yeah.
They should release this shit. This will unite humanity, mate. We've got something else to fight.
Well, we already know that. We're just not allowed to say that publicly.
Yeah,
Oh, whoops! I said that publicly.
yeah.
yeah. Well, the American government have said
Fuckers,
that
look
this
at that.
shit is legit and that they've been looking at it for decades and they don't know what it is. But yeah,
No
it's
one
real.
knows what they are, Banana Farmer. What are they? They're sitting there spying on coalition troops, whatever they are, and doing something with the atmosphere. There's some sort of gases propelled upward and downwards, and it deflects a missile shot at them. Oh, that was a missile shot at them, and they fucking take it out and stay there. And they don't even give a fuck about it.
They have gravitational force. That's why it hit the other one.
That was an AIM-9 too, 400 pound.
I think that was
So infrared homing, infrared homing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you would have done it because that has the infrared signature. So from the
Not that sharp on radar, you could shoot them too.
Yeah.
Did you have a spectrum that would tell you rough temperature? Do you know roughly the temperature of those objects, or
Yeah,
that
about
might
300.
be,
About 300 degrees.
It would be on the side of that blur imaging cam, but it may be still.
Well, see, that's the thing. Is like you take a look up the fault top. It's flashing fault because we couldn't get a temperature reading. We couldn't get a distance reading. We couldn't get a bearing. It just came up with fault. Like there was nothing there. But we worked out where they were, and I think we did pretty well to fucking hit. Well, kind of hit two of them.
yeah, well, it looked like that little dot just above the first one. It looks like it hits about there somewhere.
Looked like gravity to me involved because that looked like a deflection, and that precise measurement to hit two. That's
it's a good shot. Good shot.
The trajectory of the missile, though, if it was coming in that way, if the first one broke it up, the rest of it would head towards that one. If it was coming in on that trajectory, I thought it was.
That looked almost precise, like it was actually pulled in at the same time. rather than.
It was a good shot, mate. It was
didn't even
like
slow
bang on.
down. The missile
It
didn't
was
even
bang
slow
on.
down.
No,
Yeah, look at that, right at the top of that little dot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it went. It deflected it above it, and then the second one took it out.
it's like the
It
missile
skimmed across the
rode up
top of.
on.
Yeah,
Well, it like rode
rode
up on
off us.
something that. Well, it rode up on something that wasn't there.
Yeah, that we can't see.
Yeah. Yeah. Pity I can't slow that down.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hang on. Well, can I? No, I can't. I can share the file, but I can't slow it down. Bummer. But yeah, like the whole thing is like then we changed and looked at it in. We had a closer look at it because we tried
Was
to
that
get in
thermal
closer.
for a sec?
Yeah, that was thermal for a second. Look at the heat coming down off it. Now he's switched.
Yeah.
And then we're going, I still don't know what the fuck it is.
And it
to
comes
this
out
day.
in little plumes. Look at it. It's like little plumes, but that one at the top is steady, always there. But the
Man,
bottom jet comes out in plumes.
It's like watching oil in a lava lamp, in a way.
Yeah.
Falling out.
Whatever's happening and interacting,
very
it's doing something strange in the atmosphere. You know, like we tried everything to identify what the fuck this shit was, but everything just kept coming up fault because we couldn't get a range on it. But
The problem is the military never wants to approach. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll shoot missiles, but how about just flying up to it and having a look?
Mate, we tried that, and when we did, they weren't there.
Yeah, I'll get you. I know exactly what you mean.
It's like they're just gone.
No,
and
they've changed formation now too.
Yeah, see,
this is 36 minutes later. Like that's still there.
Yeah.
How long after the first shot?
Oh, man, they were there for probably 40 minutes.
Fucking cunts. Look, changing colour.
Yeah. And that's real colour. And that's thermal. But there was something strange happening.
Out of trippy shit.
Man, there was a trippy
I would not have felt uneasy. I would have felt uneasy after seeing that.
Maybe they're stealing our atmosphere.
Oh, well, we did.
Maybe they're transporting our atmosphere to another place. And
I reckon they're refueling. They're pulling something out of our atmosphere.
I
think they're pulling moisture out of the atmosphere.
You'd know if they're stealing our atmosphere. There'd be a big vacuum up the top of the planet, like on Spaceballs.
Yeah, right on. I remember that. Yeah. Classic, but yeah, absolutely.
Maybe they are from Mars, man. They need our fucking water. I mean, take our water back to there.
It is weird that when people say about refueling and that, they do tend to be like in the atmosphere doing it, or sitting above water doing it.
Yep.
Or beside the sun doing it.
Or volcanoes too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll see if I can find another one.
There's definitely energy that exists that we don't know about. We're not tapping into yet.
These things.
Energy that fucking doesn't seem to fucking give a shit about an explosive force or kinetic energy either. No.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. They seem like they're not there when the round arrives. It seems like they
certainly interact with it though.
Well, it's like they phase out of our dimension enough not to get destroyed. Then the weapon goes off and they phase back into it, and they're unharmed.
So the theory was designed to explode just before impact.
Proximity sensor.
Proximity fuse would be with an AIM-9.
So that would make sense that it could phase out for a split second. It thinks that second that the initial inertia and everything, the explosion goes off, it's not there, and then it comes back when it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they go do it over some other peaceful place instead of over a war zone, Greenland? If they were just sitting there having a fucking sesh, something.
But
more exciting.
They were hanging over the back.
So they can't be that real benevolent anyway if they sit there enjoying watching little creatures rip each other apart.
Yeah. Well, we're obviously
Well,
entertainment
at least
for
they're
them.
not up there with a magnifying glass.
How do you know
Exactly.
that? Yep, they've got probes,
Well,
mate.
they
Probes.
haven't got me yet.
They know what we're doing. They know what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Smoking human, reckon mongrel.
Try and find. I got some other ones somewhere. I just don't know where the hell I put them. I'll have to look on my NAS on the backup somewhere.
This is good stuff, Nexus. Thank you very much.
Mate, you're welcome. I've got some stuff that I can't show you that would absolutely fry everybody's brain, but I'd get locked up.
You'd also become an icon.
Yeah,
And
I'd get locked up,
conspiracist.
mate. I'd get
I'd
locked up, man.
write a letter to the government for you.
And a traitor.
Let him out.
Yeah.
He didn't do nothing wrong.
I'd sign the petition, mate.
You'd sign the petition, would you? Did I show you guys lethal drone weaponry?
Why not?
Okay. All right. I think I should. I think I should show you this one. This
Broken.
is in the Iron Wolf archive. Works.
Valiant Thor, Mark wants to know about.
Valiant
Nexus.
Thor.
Which one?
Valiant Thor. Do you know anything about Valiant Thor?
Yeah, I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I know nothing. Why can't this damn thing see it? Because it's a different format, right? Which is going to be a format that it doesn't support. Oh, it does support it. There you go. Go for it. This will scare everybody.
People
This
aren't
is
scared
Nick.
by some motherfucking thing. They're worried about
Man,
fucking most high-tech weapons.
this is our good buddy Mick. The military-industrial complex at
Yes.
its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will get this conspiracy nuts going mental.
Mm-hmm.
How do we go? Can we share that second one, or hang on? I'll remove this one.
Yeah.
So that you can put that one in. Maybe it was can't share that many. Oh, I need a joint. That's what I
You
need.
just hover back over the top of it, Monty. It'll say remove. Oh, he already removed it. But normally
I
you just
remove
hover
it.
over it, say remove, get it, and then go over the other one, add, and then put it on.
Yeah.
Directed almost 3,000 precision strikes last year.
Yeah, I've seen
We're
this one.
super proud of it.
Yeah,
It allows you to separate the bad guys from the good. It's a
I don't know if
big
everyone
deal.
in chat has seen
Yeah.
this, but
But we have something much bigger. Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. Hell of a pilot? No. That skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. They used to say guns don't kill people. People do. Well, people don't. They get emotional, disobey orders, aim high. Let's watch the weapons make the decisions. Now, trust me, these were all bad guys. Now that is an airstrike of surgical precision. It's one of a range of products. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Now, I said this was big. Why? Because we are thinking big. Watch. A $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city. The bad half. Nuclear is obsolete. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free. Just characterize him, release the swarm,
For sure, Mark.
rest easy. Dumb weapons drop where you point them. Smart weapons consume data. When you can find your enemy using data, even by a hashtag, you can target an evil ideology right where it starts.
Again, when I first seen that,
There
the
was a
content-
university bit, or like there was a like the first part I ever seen had an extra bit to that. Had like
Well-
a woman politician start talking to her son. He's at university and he's like sort of at a protest thing, and then she's telling him not to hang around people, and then all of a sudden like these things come all through and killing half the people in the place.
thing that gets me, it's enough to, well, get rid of the contents. Well, that's a brain in a human. And then, and then everyone clapped when the fucking thing blew this thing's brain out. Yay! We can blow.
Oh, when he
out.
goes, oh, trust me, these were all bad guys.
Yeah,
you got to remember this. The whole audience are all weapons manufacturers.
Yeah.
Everybody in that audience worked for a weapons manufacturer, so of course they're going to applaud when it blows someone's face off.
Yeah,
they're all
like,
lunatics.
you're happy it does its job, but damn, don't be so fucking exuberant about people going to be having their fucking heads blown off by little drones.
Let's see him in Russia.
See, that's the scary thing, mate. It's like DJI already make them.
Ukraine.
Like, they do really exist.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, you've got other countries making these things that are making yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to make counters to it, mate.
Yeah, they've done that as well. They're doing that as well.
The drone and blow up the drone.
Yeah,
That's why all the laser weapons are coming out now as well, so I can smack down 1 million drones at once.
Yeah. Yeah, they're using pulse weapons.
And EW plus EW, just electronic warfare, scramble the whole frequency range that the things work on so they can't communicate and put out of there.
They run on electric motors. You could take them out with an EMP.
Yep.
EMP will work, right?
Yeah.
As long as your EMP is strong enough to get through any shielding.
Yeah.
Right? But
you can't shield the tiny little motor.
Being able to control it, as long as your wattage is more than the enemy's wattage, you remain in control. It has to be more power from that side to overwhelm it. Otherwise, your frequency will win. That's why when Russia released some jet in the 70s or whatever, it was 600 watt radar, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" That's Dalesford.
Oh, yeah, I tried the Dalesford. That was nice.
I'm just about to have a go.
Oh, you haven't tried it yet?
No.
That's good gear.
Mate, Dalesford's Death Bubba.
Oh, cool.
I think. I can double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's Death Bubba.
That drone stuff spins me out, mate. Spins me out. And they
use the same AI now with some of the new advanced targeting systems, like some of the scopes they're putting on 50 caliber sniper weapons that will take out someone sitting in a room with a thermal image from 2 miles away. Yeah, just because there's a wall between them and the target doesn't stop the bullet.
Nope.
Yeah, they are designed to shoot through walls.
That
if you're hiding from anything bigger, like Anything. Pick a tree bigger than 2 foot in diameter if you want to hide from something like a 7.62.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got 7.62 that's designed to go through trees. They make different types of rounds for different applications.
Yeah, they do.
All military, a full metal jacket though, unless they're bloody high explosive and shit now,
I'll
though.
tell you the defense.
Fucking-
I'll tell you the
That's
defense for
found
that.
I can't get hold of
I'll
explosives.
tell you the
I'm a-
defense of those drones.
Ballistic
There's a
tips,
defense.
dude, like they've fucking, yeah, they've
I'm-
got some fucking deadly
They got
little
some-
tip bullets now.
They
There
got
is a
some evil
defense,
ones.
mate.
I'm a big fan of the Ralphus round, which is it's a tungsten spike
Yeah.
surrounded with a metal that breaks away from it
Yeah,
on
like
impact.
an antenna, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mate,
The
they
rest of
will.
them iterate
They
away
pierce
they
and
get-
explode. So
Yeah.
yeah, whatever you hit's going to get destroyed. The idea is that like they're designed to punch a hole in a tank and kill the occupants inside.
Yes. I was looking into 20 mil for, I think it's, I don't know whether they're proximity or height, like airburst. It might be an airburst or something.
Yeah, airburst.
It has a little det inside the tip of the round that
Yep.
is locked in place by a circlip, right? But when
that,
it's
Jimmy?
spun out the barrel, the circlip breaks, and therefore the little det bit inside spins into a certain place, and therefore then explodes when it hits the target.
Can you
That's
guys
I
hear
was
me?
fucking amazed. They invented that ages ago too.
Turn your
Huh?
mic up a little bit.
Yeah.
Hi, you can't.
Yeah,
I can hear you,
miles
but-
away.
I can
We
hear you.
can-
but
I can hear you
yeah,
everything, but you're way far from your mic.
All right.
Yeah, you need to get closer to your microphone. Or actually select the microphone that's hanging on your head.
Yeah, I've
Because it
seen a
sounds
lot
like
of that
it's
stuff
picking the audio up from your camera.
Is that better?
early
How about that?
2000s.
It's a little
Mark.
better. It's still not the right mic though. It's not the
That
headset
had
mic.
fins on them or bullets that once a projectile it still had propellant in it. Like it can't like fucking do heaps of shit, but it can do a couple of maneuvers to make sure it gets there. But yeah, that was early 2000s. I was seeing stuff like that on like Discovery
I've
Channel.
never
and shit
seen
like
a round that could turn a corner, lock onto its target. He's thinking like a bullet
Yeah.
round or 20 mil like cannon round or anything like that.
Yeah, it was a fairly small
It would
round.
have to be a ballistic like a ATGM to turn corners and wire guided at that.
It would have
I
to
can't
be.
remember how it was done, but some had fins on them and
They have.
some had little charges in it. And if a charge went off, it would make it change direction or
Is that better?
Yeah, a lot better, bro.
That's a lot better.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, lads. So I've already got it. I already got the weakness to these drones. It's training birds.
Oh,
Train birds to attack them.
Train birds to attack them.
They
Okay.
come
how
from
many
different directions.
How many
drones were in
birds
that
are you
plane?
going to have?
You wouldn't need many because they would.
How many drones were in that plane?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
250,000 pigeons.
250,000.
Oh,
Yeah. That's a saved life each one. Each one the bird takes out is a saved life, and you can train many and eventually get the birds to train the birds. Hawks to train hawks, predatory
Peregrine.
animals who can train. So, and that's not hard to do. Hawks will
Peregrine.
automatically want to take them out anyway. We've got other predatory birds and all sorts that might want to take them out, and this is a kind of AI that isn't programmed to
If
these
it's
types
AI
of-
designed to, like, if it's AI got a process in there that's designed to maybe dodge a sniper and fucking counter
Yeah, but from
our
what
fucking
direction?
tactics.
From what direction?
Every direction, because it has a sensor in every direction, mate.
all round. But
Maybe.
yeah, I'm still wondering. Would it be like, fuck? Is that a bird? What is that? Like,
Yeah, it might.
They
Yeah,
program-
that's the
they
sort of
program
process
into
that
it
might
to-
not
to
be
invade
anticipated, or perhaps it
birds or-
would have. Perhaps that would have, but it says,
I think it'd be easier just with a
flight
mass
isn't
fucking
strength.
some sort of frequency, just fucking mass down and with a frequency like to have those, like they've got, like you've seen them in you're popping up in your crane now. They've got shoulder mounted like gats that shoot EW fucking like a frequency of drones, knock them out of the sky.
Yeah.
fucking
And if you get a
net-
big mass one of those things where just like same thing, like Russia and that have been doing, like a few countries have managed to take control of fucking American drones and managed to get them land on other sides of borders just by having a higher frequency machine that's able to pump out and take over the drone on exactly the same frequency.
Yeah, as long as they're not 100% autonomous, as long as there's some always feedback that they have to ask permission or whatever, you're going to be able to overpower it in some way. And if all else fails, EMP.
Even with that's right. Even when they are all just fully autonomous, if you know that's what you're going to be mass broadly fucking defending against, you just put up a big shield of fucking spectrum noise, stop them getting through, and then last ditch fucking EMP it. Go heap of conventional EMP dangling from parachute.
Does EMP still work the same if everything is made of gold or silver?
No. EMPs will destroy most digital electronics, most motors. Just
Yeah,
makes everything stop working.
Yeah.
I forget how it works.
I know gold or particularly silver is probably the best conductor and holder
It's
of
a low
electricity.
frequency electromagnetic pulse.
No, what it does to your battery and what it does to your coil of your starter motor. So if a nuclear blast goes off, right, your car's in the driveway, ain't going nowhere. You need to change starter motor, your battery, a couple of electrical components. As long as you've got an old car, like a mechanical injection.
If you've got a computer in it, you're fucked.
Yeah, if you've got a computer.
If you have a modern car, forget it.
You're fucked.
If your car's made before 2000, fantastic, no worries.
Yeah.
If your car's made in the 1960s, even better. It probably won't even affect it that much.
Yep.
Actually, it probably would not affect the magneto-timing.
Yeah.
Magneto, I think, all right. It does something to the starter.
It might take the coil out. That's probably
it does something to the starter motor solenoid, and it does something to your battery. Like battery apparently is useless.
Yeah.
You'd have to be shielding any of them that you'd want to replace it with too from that EMP.
Yeah, they could use by a garbage bin, an old metal garbage bin. You put like a phone, a car battery, like things that you want if something like that happens that you can spare now. You just put it in there, put the lid on, and you should be right.
I got a Faraday cage in my shed. Not that I'm the paranoid type, but yeah, I have a Faraday cage in my shed.
Yeah, I want to build one. But you just need to build a box and then just line it with a bit of copper as well.
Well, see, here's the thing. Copper is so
copper mesh.
freaking
It's expensive as fuck, yeah.
Oh, man, copper.
It's the best protection, though.
You go try buying an 8-foot by 6-foot sheet of copper
Well,
mesh.
you're going to buy it or acquire it.
And you're talking over $1,000.
If you know anyone who's in demolition who pulls down houses that are 100 years old or more,
yeah, the copper tank in the roof.
They have copper fly screens on the windows. I've got
true.
Yeah.
You can buy old school copper fly screen. You can buy it. I bought a copper mesh that was designed for shielding power supplies. It was just a mesh of copper. But it was expensive. It was like several $100s for an 8x4 sheet of it.
Yeah,
and I just think
several $100 to shield something forever is really not bad investment, but.
I thought you had to be enclosed for it to work, but apparently you need some that are so far apart, some that are so far apart, and depending on how far apart they are, they capture the different things. You don't need to be fully encased, like airtight. You just need to have the certain gauges and ways there. Yeah.
Quarter inch mesh is recommended. Quarter inch or 4mm, whatever it translates to, 4 or 5 mil.
If you could, you do probably want to try and fully enclose it,
though. A cage, even with a 1-inch space mesh, works. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just meaning like the all 6 sides. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't forget to do the floor.
Yeah, the floor. That's right.
Because when you get an EMP, you get a ground wave too. So
yeah,
do all signs.
But
I know mine works because you walk in there and your phone just will not work in there.
Oh.
Wizard.
That's nice.
A wizard.
It
I'm
does look
interested to see where this 4-1, the missing 411 goes. So,
I'll search my little database. Hang on, just give me a sec. Open up another application and
dropping back
search.
to that Kandahar incident. So
Yeah.
some things that relate to that, I've heard of. There's a head in a monastery or something in some religious building, and it's a head of a guy that there was a battle in the oh no, that fucking Indian
Sanskrit.
religion, right? And
Yeah.
one of the gods said to this guy, "Oh, give me a head for a minute," and he took his head off, and he stabbed 4 arrows in it. So this is a human saying what he's saying. He said he stabbed 4 arrows in the head and threw it up in the sky, and then he flew it around and he could watch the battle. That sounds like a drone to me. So after that battle, the head got buried. They didn't give it back to this guy, and someone dug it up, and now it's in a religious place, and they fucking worship it. And there's the heart of Krishna. That's in India somewhere, and every time they move it, they have to shut down the city, all the power supply in the city. Apparently it starts doing weird shit if it sees light or if there's electrical energy too close to it. And these are things that exist, like you can see video footage.
Yeah, I was watching that today, Mark. That's why we started talking. We did start the show on the giant Kandahar. There's like there's a Soldier K's interview giving the story. He was says that was actually there.
Yeah.
And then that led on to fucking the missing 411. And it had it linked sort of by how showing that missing photograph of those skeletons that they dug out of the Nevada cave of the giants, the Indians trapped in there and burned. Yeah. Had 4 men standing next to the coffin of one of them, and it was like double the size of them.
Yeah, the American continent, was yielding some fairly giant bones. Apparently, they started hiding them for some reason.
Well, all the skeletons got stolen that night, yep, and most of the photographs bar one photograph that he happened to have on him at the time. It was the only one that didn't get stolen. None of them have ever turned up ever since. It's like the government didn't want it to come out. The missing 411 is a whole heap of fucking people just gone missing from North America, and I think they're linking them to Nephilims or fucking giants. Anyway.
Did you notice them T-shirt took?
Nephilims just reckons where the fucking genetic evil comes from. 6 fingers, 6 toes, 2 legs. Yeah.
Looking good.
Couple of extra ones there in the original font used for the show.
Yeah.
I reckon it looks right.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Fucking awesome. There's our 4 products.
Well, yeah, I'll hit them up, but I was thinking of just running the original.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good. I did see the email. I saw that. I just cooked dinner. I had some rissoles for dinner.
Nice.
And also I had butter ravioli.
The Indians claim they trapped these giants, fucking tried to make truce with these big fucking 12-footed redhead fucking giants in North America, and they wouldn't make fucking peace with them, so they fucking went to war, managed to fight them back into their own cave, and then fucking piled up a whole heap of wood and burnt the fuckers to death. It was all in nature, Indian fucking folklore. Right, and then 2 fucking dudes went out to this cave and started digging guano out of the cave and exposed one of these skeletons. And then the man went and fucking dug it up. It's fucking. I looked up the name today. And they fucking pulled out about 6 of these skeletons, and they still had the hair on them. Right?
A lot of cultures around
And
the world
fleshy.
attribute their knowledge to a race of red-haired, bearded men that roamed the world and taught them how to do shit.
Yeah, they also call in the Bible and fucking the Book of Enoch say that fucking gods or angels that may have liked our women, lusted for our women, and therefore had babies with them, and that's what created the fallen.
There was a king who found the last giant, and I don't know why this thing was passive, like the size of it and that. Fucking, you think it would be kicking their ass, but apparently when they got sick of it, he was just laying into it, basically walking it towards a cliff and stabbing at it and shit until they fucking
Fallen angels who taught men how to create the weapons of war. The ancient Greek myth goes the same too. They have a fucking flood myth that was saved by fucking Petra and his wife or something like that. It was amazing how many fucking ancient fucking things had these. When I looked it up.
You can see in the Mediterranean, the area that sunk to, they find a lot of artifacts there.
It would have been the Scottish just saying. They've found red-headed skeletons. I don't know. They're pretty tall too in eastern China. And China won't fucking admit their fucking existence anymore.
That was a problem with the pyramids. They started finding pyramids, and apparently China has more pyramids than Egypt. And then when they started cracking them open, the first couple they found apparently had European people in them. And then after that, they started telling people to nick off, and they started planting trees on top of them. But if you go to Google Earth, you can see a square, like getting smaller and smaller and smaller until there's one tree at the top. But you know it's a fucking pyramid. But yeah, it was weird they did that. I hate how people hide history. It's just history. It's just going to help us know what happened to us. That's all.
Buried in the Vatican.
You have to understand, it's not the history that they're cancelling. It's education. It's they're stopping you from the ability to learn. You see, I know it seems like that, but they're erasing history, but they're not. What they're doing is stopping us from learning history. The history still happened, but I don't know if that explains itself. But there's a big difference in that. It's even worse repercussions because not only they stop us learning that, they stop us learning everything. So when I say history, I do agree, but it's not just history; it's absolutely everything. History, knowledge itself is it's like ceased to be accessed. We'll no longer have access to any part of information for anything that's factual or clear and clearly understood. And that's what I think it is. It's a broader thing going on. Rather than erasing history, they're erasing the ability to learn, the ability to absorb information correctly. I think it's far deeper.
Oh, they're making people dumber, mate, because people don't have to think anymore. If the kids want to know something, they Google it.
Like what they tried in fucking...
Whose prophecy is this, Mark? With the Euphrates River. Is it a biblical prophecy or what?
I can't remember. But that river and the Tigris, I think they run into it. They're important in biblical history. Yeah.
Yeah, because Garden of Eden becomes between the three rivers, Euphrates, fucking Tigris, and some other river that leads into fucking Latrine.
Why do you think
it's the Nile,
if the story of Jesus goes back 2,000 plus years, 2 to 5,000 or whatever, it's sort of like
2,000.
Well, that's when sort of it all sort of began in terms of belief. When Jesus died, it's really ramped up.
That's the Second Testament, and then you've got the Jews go back 6,000 to 10,000 years.
Yeah.
With the First Testament.
But there is some mentions of the Bible. The earliest mentions of any part of the Bible, really. I mean, not, I suppose, in terms of how should I say, like actual information, is The Aboriginals, in fact, mention stuff from in the Bible, right? Stuff from in the Bible that they believed in their culture, like that their culture of the serpent and other situations that have been explained are also factors explained in very similar factors in the Bible. The question is, which came first? And obviously, it's Aboriginals.
Yeah.
So
Everyone,
Well,
sort of put some
everyone.
sort of factual area to the Bible.
a lot of the artwork up north,
Everyone's religion stole from what happened.
Aboriginals that own the artwork don't understand who made it or don't know where it come from. Right?
Yeah.
It was
Well,
there
maybe
before
some
their time.
clans, but maybe just that story hasn't been passed or gotten around. And it's what these stories of dance and sort of culture.
Or
And
the
I don't
how
know.
how rivers were made, how the land was shaped, all those things that go.
Yeah.
People, religions that exist now use those stories, like the flood story, Noah and the flood.
Yeah.
Right. That's in heaps of religions. That's it. It's
Yeah, it's not
everywhere
just the
because it
Bible.
happened to everyone. It was a flood, like a world flood. So
Yeah.
it's you try and find the oldest people you can, and they're probably most likely closest to what happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
as
the
Monty
scientific
said,
theory
some
is it
don't
was a
know.
polar shift that caused the Great Flood. Was a polar shift.
Yeah.
That's the working theory
And
for most
Monty's been
scientists.
sending me vids lately, and they reckon that the magnetic pole's not very far from the point now
Mate,
where it gets to
mate,
want to flip. It's like 50
I
miles.
know
Or
something's
something.
going
I
on.
can't remember.
This morning I was sitting here, I was watching the sunrise, and the sun normally is supposed to rise over there, but the sun was rising there. Like, the sun does not rise just off north. I'm just like, what the hell's going on? So I don't know what's happening. So I do believe a polar shift is on the cards, and with us having an earthquake like 50 kilometers from here, a small one, something weird's happening. So
We had an earthquake in Victoria, not far out of Wodonga, right? At the end of last year, whatever it was. It was weird as fuck. I'd never been in one. I'm glad I experienced that, but like, it was a weird trip out, waking up to looking at you, waking up, getting ready to yell at your dog for making whatever noise was carrying on, and then seeing him with this weird look on his face and the doorway above him shaking back and forth, and realize it's not you, dog. What the fuck?
yeah. Well, it was a 2.8 on the Richter scale earthquake up Caboolture today, which is like north
Ours
side
was
of Brisbane.
6.8 or 7.2, something like that. It was fucking weird as fuck to have one on a continent that doesn't have any fucking like major fault lines anyway.
No,
Man,
we
the
get
biggest ever
earthquakes.
recorded we do like this. The biggest ever
We
recorded
do,
earthquake
but
in
we're not
Australia
meant
was
to.
like
Like, realistically, we're a pretty safe continent for
6.8.
earthquake.
Tennant Creek in the Northern Territory was the site of Australia's biggest ever recorded earthquake. It was like 6.8 on the Richter scale, and that's like Tennant Creek, middle of fucking nowhere. But yeah, unexpected too.
Yeah.
We get them actually. I don't know if Fairs notice, but we actually get them quite regularly here. Probably a lot more regular than a lot of states. But they're very just low, and most people don't feel them. Like occasionally, you might think you might be laying down, you hear something shake, or it might sound like a train passing. You know, but occasionally it will happen, and you won't even notice it will happen. But we had
I
one
woke
like
up to
maybe
the
4
noise,
weeks
man.
ago, somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a rumble, like a jet coming, but it's not a
Yeah.
jet. Yeah.
It was like that's what I fully thought it was, man, like a garbage truck in the street or something like that coming down, and then it just was kept on going. I was like, no, that's not a truck. It must be my dog. So it got me up out of my slumber to yell at him. It wasn't neither.
I can't find anything about those big giants or the 411. Nothing that's already been said.
Look up the missing 411. Right, the missing 411.
I'll do that in Google and see what Google comes up with. Missing
I was
411.
gonna say
Oh, it's a movie.
It's not. That's a documentary on it now. Yeah, they made a
Oh, okay.
documentary on it because two rangers approached a guy to write a book about what was happening there because they were fucking weirded out by what's happening.
Yeah, I'm finding two references to it. 2016, there's a documentary, and there's another one.
2019 is the one I was looking at watching.
It's called The Missing 411, The Hunted.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have a look for that. It's in the IMDb. All right. I'll copy its title and search for it in my usual place. It has everything. Paste it into the search box and search. There we go. 3.8 gigabytes. I'll download it and have it in a minute.
Like this
in a
guy's
minute.
trying to make a link between them and fucking Nephilim or the giants.
Okay.
I was watching. There's a series on TV at the moment. Some guys trying to find Bigfoot. An ex-military. There's a primatologist and stuff. It's not hunting Bigfoot. That's been on for years and years. It's just a special expedition thing. That's the most sophisticated search they've ever done. They capture this thing twice on FLIR, right? Looks like a person hiding behind, like something like 10 foot tall, hiding behind a tree line, but there's little glowing orbs going around it. Right? And in native culture, like native Indian culture, they've always said that when they've seen Bigfoot, you see orbs as well. And then she got out. This thing appeared just on the other side of this bloody waterway. She thought it was just right there, so she turned her flashlight on to see it, and all there was bush, and you couldn't see whatever this heat signature is right there. She turns her torch back off to see whether the FLIR is still on there. It's still on there, but then the signature starts getting smaller, and then it disappears into one single orb. The leader of the expedition goes talking to some dude from an Indian culture, right? And he says, like, back in their early conversation, like things, native stories with Bigfoots, right? They used to invite them to pot scotches, and they would drink with them and stuff like that. It was all friendly, and they'd talk, and they could communicate with each other.
Yeah, they called it potluck.
And then something happened where they were play fighting and wrestling, and the Bigfoot killed a man. Right, and therefore something happened, and they never ever come to their pot scotches again after that. And then apparently, like, the stories change, like that. Whenever you see one, and they something to do that, like it's something to do with a reminder of what happened back then, and their lost ability to talk now. It was some weird trippy shit.
Very weird stuff. I'm downloading that. That looks like the 4K version of it.
It does, doesn't it, Dave? I've actually pressed recording because there's one dude, he's out on his own, he's ex-military dude, but he's just stalking like a motherfucker trying to hunt, and the others are doing more scientific, trying to fucking look, and they find some weird-ass things, right? Like nests. But the two fucking thermal image sites are weird as. Dude's spotting them from across a valley, so he's looking down on them, and they're like camped in a little wooden bit below him, and he's looking down on them. And it's just like sitting there staring at him.
Yeah.
And then disappears into three little orbs. And then the next night, he actually sees three orbs with his own eyes going through the forest.
So Wally should be smoking some Super Saiyan right about now.
Oh, I'd like to be, but that's all right. I got some Exodus.
Nah, that's probably
Expedition
anyway.
Bigfoot. That's the one.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to seen you clapping your heels together, jumping around.
Oh man,
It's
I
only into
was
season 2.
I was looking forward to the beans, but anyway.
Yeah, I had F1, 2, 3, 4, and I had every one of everything. My mains, including the result in the self trinode strain.
Okay.
So
Well,
I didn't name them, but I intended on letting you know when I saw them what they were.
even bigger bummer, but I will. Not to worry.
That being said, even if you did plant them, you'd see the clear difference in them. They're all
You
clearly
know,
distinctive. Yeah.
I like playing around with the Northern Light lineage because it can throw so many different phenos.
I put that in there
And
as
it
well. The original
combines
one that I
well.
worked with.
Right.
But yeah, well, shit
I got
happens.
some, mate. I got some Northern Light number 2 directly from the United States.
Wow.
And it's one of the older school Northern Light number 2s with that pine lime sort of fragrance.
Yeah.
More lime than pine. And there's another one that's almost like menthol. It's weird. It's very strange. But it's another hybrid.
Yeah.
That's the other trippiest thing I remember about that fucking Bigfoot thing, Expedition Bigfoot. When they're talking to that Indian guy, he asks him whether he's ever had his own experience with Bigfoot, right? And he's saying they're cutting wood. A couple of his mates come running back from where they're cutting wood and saying there's something fucking really big back there and weren't came enough. He's gone forward to have a look, right? And this thing didn't see him, right? And he's managed to get close and he's gone up. And when it's noticed him right there, apparently, and he goes, before he even said it, he goes, and this is going to sound weird as fuck to you, right? All it did was crouch down, put its hands over its face, and disappear.
Yeah. Man, I've heard that before too.
Mm.
Peekaboo.
I reckon either they can fucking transform their hair so they can fucking angle it so they reflect light and turn themselves invisible, or they're fucking interdimensional beings.
Dimensional, yeah, dimensional.
Interdimensional is a working theory.
Yeah.
Could you imagine hiding behind space yet staying in the same sort of spot, like being able to actually?
Well, that's
well,
how
that's
these things
what
are
Aboriginals
navigating, I
call them,
believe.
Greenlands. Yowies.
Yowies, yeah.
There's a couple of types in Australia, though. There's one out western New South Wales they call the bear man that was actually evil and didn't actually attack people, but would scare children away from their family and then pursue them until they died of dehydration and then feed on the carcass. And there's fucking from, I think, 2000, apparently like year 2000, I remember in a newspaper, a British family stopped on a highway out western New South Wales, touristing, and something approached them. And they drew it, and it looked exactly the same as the Aboriginal drawings of the bear man. Mm-hmm. I've seen fucking up in Tully. You would know about from that bloody thing too, Nexus, huh?
Oh yeah, that exercise. We can't talk about that. We can't talk about it. Yeah.
We used to keep ourselves awake real easy talking about fucking yowies on picket fucking up there. And you can't see a hand in front of your face, even with night vision on.
It is dark. It is very dark. Yeah.
You just joke about if one come up and I'm letting go a full burst at him and running like hell and hopefully he grabs you.
Yeah. That's the way. Just slow him down a bit.
Yep. No bravery here when it comes to that fucking kind of thing.
No. Mad Arab, different thing.
Yep.
Yowie.
10 to 12 foot hairy man. No fucking way.
I think Yowies were banned in some places. I don't know. I heard a rumor about that. You don't remember the lollies, the chocolates, Yowies?
Oh yeah, I remember the ones. They were weird taste, but
Banned
they
in the
were,
Oh,
US.
yeah.
Actually, I don't think you get Kinder Surprises there either.
no, you don't. They don't have Kinder Surprises because children choked on them. Apparently, they ate the chocolate and the fucking toy
Yeah.
inside it and choked them to death. So yeah,
Eh.
I think most parents that give their kids a Kinder, they'll break the toy out of it so the kid doesn't choke on it. I think most
Most
people
kids
are
eat it by
responsible, aren't they?
biting it before swallowing.
Yeah,
Anyway,
kids will be
yeah.
kids, man.
Um, must be a. I'm sure there's some sort of creature or animal or something like that out there, clever enough to hide in the amongst the bushes and
Oh
blend
man,
in.
like like the Australian landmass is like 2% populated. There could be a freaking colony of aliens in the middle of this country we don't know about. Yeah, really.
I've been out cutting wood with my uncle, mate, and heard some fucking thing I've never heard in my life before and never ever heard again. Ain't
Yeah,
Hey,
I've heard
Explain.
some things I
both of
can't
us stopped
explain.
and just like, I was like, oh, what the fuck was that? And like, I don't fucking know. But it didn't make it again, and we didn't get to see nothing. We sat there for about 10 minutes with the saw off. Hey, me in case it was trying to sneak up.
Cough, Pine Gap, cough. I can't talk about that place. It's classified. Really deep hole there, though. Fucking really deep hole. Man, it's a deep hole. And they got one in the UK as well. Yowie Pie's in Fernvale. So Google's a local. There you go. I know the Yowie Pie and the little bakery at Fernvale. Their chicken pie, their gourmet chicken pie is fucking amazing. Yeah, Fernvale Bakery. Man, that place is legendary. Down Mullumbimby way. Oh, there's all sorts of weird shit down there, man. Half the weird shit down there, Mullumbimby, is veterans from the 60s that gone fucking mental in the bush.
I went crazy from smoking our weed. Good stuff. It was 1,000
Oh yeah,
milliliters.
man, the chicken pies out there are just amazing. It's like going to a French restaurant and getting just a wonderful dish, but it's in a pie. It's just fucking amazing. They were actually voted the best pies in the country like 4 years in a row. But like they're about $8 for a pie. But absolutely worth it. Yeah, there's a very big thing there. Like one of the things I have out there could like potentially the idea behind it is they could potentially deflect an incoming asteroid with a kinetic projectile fired out of a railgun type weapon. They can actually put things into space with it. The projectile I use is it's like a Sabo that weighs like 75 kilograms. It's made of steel that is fired by a series of ginormous electromagnets. And it's 10 kilometers of electromagnets, not just a short little railgun.
Have you seen those fucking cunts that are trying to launch satellites with the fucking an arm with centrifugal force?
Mate, it
I
will
just fucking
fucking work. It
and
will
then
work.
shoot him straight upwards.
It will work.
They've proved the concept already, and now they're just going to upscale it.
Look at the ancient
Oh, they
French
got a big one
siege
already.
weapon called the trebuchet.
Yeah.
Like, look at the siege weapon. It's the same principle.
Yeah, I watched it already. Yeah, same thing. It's in a sabot as well.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it flies out of this thing and off it goes.
I remember what the file's called. I'll see if I can find it.
It spun me out when I first seen it. It's this circle. They're just spinning and round and round, 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 round. They just got to time it perfect to let it go. And they fucked up heaps of times, but they got it right in the end.
All right, lads, on a cruise, I'll be in and out of the chat, my friends. Cheers, Monty. Good show.
No worries,
PTP.
mate. Thanks for having me.
Great, and of course, Mustard
Thanks,
Nexus. Everybody in chat. Look forward to another show next week. Just in case, do you want to hear your PTPs? What's the story for your next show? Lads.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yes.
Well, it's good. Good. Gives stuff to do during the week. Research some conspiracies.
Yeah.
Conspiracy.
Heads are full of them anyway. We've just got to polish up on some stuff. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It'll get better too. Lots of mad stoners up in here. Make sure you smash that thumbs up. For fuck's sakes. Give the fucking guy a go. This is Monty's channel.
I'm pretty sure we fucking got a first fucking exclusive tonight ever. Fucking mankind's first ever attack on fucking UFOs filmed.
Well, it's been declassified, but not too many people would know.
How come they haven't released that motherfucker yet then?
Man, they don't.
Declassified.
Well, there's a whole heap of shit that's been declassified, and like people look at the
pick
news
and
and
choose
they go,
which ones they
"I
want to
don't
release,
believe
and
this
the
fake
bastards
news."
if it's all been declassified because I search hard for them.
Well, like 7 months ago, there was like a UFO sighting over Brisbane, but it turns out it was a fucking Chinese rocket. So there's a couple that are pretty insane. I'm still looking through this list of stuff because I know that there is a video of it somewhere in amongst all my little treasures. It was I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where the fuck it is. That's not it.
How's that 411 going?
It's completely downloaded. I haven't even looked at the file yet.
I was 10 minutes into it when I had to start this. I really want to know where it was only into the first missing person story that they're showing. And a lot of them are like 70, 80-year-old people like hunters. They've been, and only like the first dude went missing. No, he was no further. He was with a group of 7, 3 of them his sons. 4 old guys standing at the bottom of the thing. The 3 young guys pushing deer towards them. Right? They've only spaced themselves out about 150 meters apart, and the old guy vanishes off the face of the earth. But yet, before he went missing, they heard some weird hush noise like that couldn't be explained.
Yeah, right. Alright, so I'll go and look at the download folder where I put it. And it's the missing 411. Gee, that's really good quality. Damn, that's the master. Do you want me to share that with that, or is that's going to be like massively big?
I don't know. We should be fine.
Okay, video file.
It might be big.
Went into downloads, hosting, hunted, open. Right, that's backstage now. I've got enough bandwidth to stream 4K, so it should look all right for you guys. How does that look? Looks fine on StreamYard.
Looks fine to me.
My name is Dave Politis, and I'm a former police detective and current investigative author focused primarily on mysterious disappearances in the North American wilderness. My journey into the disappearances began when I was visiting a national park and was approached by two park rangers who knew I was an author. They described strange circumstances over the years involving missing hikers. I immediately began looking into the phenomena. 8 years and 8 books later, I've now researched 1,200 cases that fit the profile we are about to examine. While these cases involve people of all ages and all walks of life, I've chosen to present some of the most intriguing cases involving hunters. Generally speaking, hunters are very experienced, aware, and knowledgeable outdoorsmen. And so when one vanishes, you know something unusual has occurred. One of the most perplexing cases I've examined involves a hunter named Thomas Messick, who in 2015 went missing in Northeast New York. For people who don't know, the FBI doesn't investigate missing adults. There's a subcategory for the FBI that they can become involved in the disappearance of extremely young children under a certain set of criteria.
I find
So the
that a
million-dollar
weird
question
fact
is,
in
why
itself.
would the FBI arrive on Tom Messick's case?
Why would they involve themselves in that?
He loved the outdoors. He loved being in the woods. Hunting and fishing was his life. You want a cookie, honey? Huh? He was a very good husband, very good father. And I don't think you will find anybody who ever met him who didn't like him.
And how many kids did you guys have?
We had 3 sons, Tommy, Gene, and Rob.
So tell me about your dad. What kind of guy was he?
It's kind of do what you got to do to get things done. Never had a contractor in the house. We always did everything, you name it. I mean, we lifted the house up, put a foundation under it. When I was digging it out, I looked up at him. He had a cup of coffee in his hand, and I said, "Why don't we get a backhoe?" And he said, "I have one right there."
And what did you guys like to do as a family?
We camped. We did a lot of camping. And the boys loved it. And, you know, I was kind of the outsider because they were boys. And they hunted and fished and did those things.
I knew Tom before we were in the hunting camp because he used to work in Norton with me. I knew him probably about 55 years, somewhere around there.
What'd you guys like to do together?
Hunt and fish. That's what we done all the time, really.
We used to travel together with our kids for years.
Yeah, we had trailers, which we used to go trailing all the time, who come to think of it. We all got the same vacation at Norton, so we all took off and went to Saranac, different places like that. You know?
So what was your introduction to the outdoors?
It was always there, because my father always hunted and fished. We got a camp up north, not far from Brant Lake, for about a week every year. A bunch of guys get together and go hunting.
He taught hunter training for a long, long time. He probably taught every one of the kids around here.
Tom was a great guy. He was an old airborne ranger. He was unbelievable in the woods. He taught my hunting class for me to get my hunting license. He taught survival.
He had gunpowder blow up in his face, and that's how he was. He had like 159 stitches in his hand, and he lost his eye that way. So he would say to these kids, this is what happens if you're not careful.
I mean, he had a lot of issues over the years, but never really seemed to slow him down any.
So obviously he had one eye.
Yeah. He was sort of blind. It wasn't really that great, but he could actually see out of it.
And hearing, there was an issue?
Yeah, it wasn't that great with the hearing. He needed hearing aids.
Would Tom be the kind of guy that would drink a lot, or?
No, he didn't drink that much, no.
So the day when you guys went hunting, did you guys drink when you hunt?
No. We might have beer with us in the truck. When we come out of the woods, we always might have a beer or something like that. But other than that, nothing excessive, you know?
How would you describe your dad's judgment?
It was good. In fact, he was probably one of his better days I've seen in a long time. He was good spirits and moving great. Didn't seem to even have an ache or pain in him that day. He was moving good.
How often do you think about it?
No, I think about it quite often, you know. Always pops into your mind.
We were doing just kind of a quick thing. It was late, almost lunchtime by the time we ended up going up there. Kind of just a 2-hour thing until evening, and we were going to go back to camp and hunt around camp until dark.
How many guys went up there that day?
7.
Someone made the decision to hunt over by Brant Lake. Who made that decision?
I did. And I just mentioned that we had state land there. We kind of agreed to hunt it. The road to Lily Pond.
I mean, you go up that road straight to the lake, and we parked right at the lake. And the old guys literally walked down that road in 100-yard increments. We walked in 30, 40 yards at the most and sat down.
Al was the first watcher. I was the second. Joe Capicelli, and then Tom.
So Tom was furthest from the
He
lake.
was the furthest one.
We followed the trail on the lake, come up that snowmobile trail, popped into the woods and swung up to him. A slow hunting drive type thing.
The young boys said to the old man, you 4 sit here, and if we see any deer, we'll push them towards you. And if Tom was a watcher, Tom would not have moved. I know that for a fact. If he was a watcher, that's where he was.
Did you see any deer?
No.
Did you hear anything?
I heard a strange noise in the woods, but I don't know what it was. It was a different noise than what I usually hear, you know?
Like what?
It's even hard to explain but it was different. Something different than I never heard before in the woods. I just can't say what it was, you know?
How long in duration was it? Was it 2 or 3 seconds?
No, it's just zap, whatever it is, you know?
How far away was it?
I'd say it's probably 150 yards, something like that.
Was it toward Tom or away from Tom?
No, this was up towards the hill, top of the hill. Yeah.
Did you tell the cops this?
Yeah, I told them that, but they just passed it off, yeah.
The report said that your dad was carrying a walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
Who else had one?
we all did.
All on the same channel?
Yep.
Anybody ever hear anything?
No.
Did your dad know how to use it?
Yep.
Tom, you around?
It's one of those things where, he should have been out by now.
Call him. He should have been sitting on the watch.
Can you hear me? Holler back.
And then we went and started looking for him.
Never know, you might see something. That too?
Anybody fire any shots?
Yep, yeah, we fired shots. Somebody went down and called the Rangers, and then we just kept looking.
They stayed overnight at the truck, beeping the horn, firing shots, different things.
Robbie called me that night and said, Daddy's missing in the woods, but don't worry, we'll find him. And I said, I'm coming up. And he said, no, don't come up. I'm sure we're going to find him, and I'll call you.
The community is very close-knit. Everybody's pretty much grown up together and knows everybody. It's mountainous, we have lakes, we've got lots of opportunities to enjoy yourself. There's not a lot of pressure here. I came into work one morning and I noticed a state police helicopter had landed in our ball field right here behind the town hall. And then I could see some rangers arranging in our parking lot their vehicles and different apparatus. And I questioned what was going on, and they said there was a hunter that had been missing.
We did note that when we were up there, it seemed to be devoid of wildlife. We didn't see squirrels, chipmunks, deer, any signs of them.
How unusual is that for your mountains out here?
Thought it was strange. Like I said, we didn't see any signs of anything out there.
And how many people did Warren County commit?
We had our emergency response team up there, which is comprised of 13 team members.
So when you heard about it, what'd you do?
Drove up there, joined the search. And I figured it would be, go up there and we'll find them and it'd be over, The Air National Guard was going over with infrared. State police had helicopters with a guy out. You walked through the woods, no matter how thick they were, you had to see the other guy's ankle. We went through some terrain you just wouldn't believe, swamps up to your chest, and we covered every bit of it.
They were thinking maybe he got to a road and got hit by a car. And so they checked on the sides of the roads and never found anything.
The first couple days, I thought for sure we were going to find him. After about the third or fourth, I said, boy, this ain't good. A mile out, we were still media away. Walking through the woods, you'd trip over somebody, never mind not see him.
They would have what they called bump lines that they would run through the forest, and we knew that was like a start and a stop.
The guy in the end had a roll of string and would tie it to a tree and just keep walking, and when we were done with that grid, they'd tie it off and everybody would shift to the other side and walk back.
So you know that between this string line, and between your bump lines, that area has been covered.
A few days later, we went back to the same areas and did them the other way. I mean, we covered every inch of ground up there.
The immediate area looked like a spider web because not only did they go this way, they went this way, and they went that way. So there was string everywhere.
There were 300 people in there one day.
People asked who he was. Like, was he the governor's brother or something? It was incredible.
How many jurisdictions do you think responded to this search?
There was probably a dozen or so volunteer fire departments that had members here. Probably 50 or 60 altogether in different organizations.
That's huge.
Yeah. New York State Corrections came out. They searched with their dogs. There's tons of volunteer search and rescue teams that came out with their canine units. I mean, they hit, I guess, for a little while, but for not very long.
Day 2 that we were involved with the search up there, it rained heavily all day.
Obviously, an animal didn't get torn up because there'd be a big scatter. There'd be a huge, his clothes be ripped up, stuff be spread all over. It'd be easy to find.
Not even a candy wrapper. Not that my husband would throw out a candy wrapper, because he wouldn't. That'd be in his pocket. But nothing. Not the walkie-talkie, not his gun. They never found anything.
You would think that you'd find some trace if somebody was there, especially a weapon, because a weapon's not going to disappear. It's not going to blow away.
The FBI, according to their protocol, doesn't search for missing people. So do you understand why they were there?
I remember they were there. I thought they were there to provide some sort of technological support, but I didn't have any contact with them myself.
Have you ever had them on a search that you've done?
No.
You had a conversation with the FBI up in Horicon.
Mm-hmm.
What did they tell you?
They said that basically they were there to tell me that he now is considered a missing person, and they felt that something was definitely not right, but unless and until they made a recovery, they wouldn't know what it was. That was it. That's basically what they said.
In the middle of the Adirondacks, where an elderly man disappears, 2 agents suddenly show up. They made their way up to Lily Pond Road, and they started to monitor this incident. Every time an FBI agent arrives at a scene and is stating that they're monitoring it, they're taking notes and they're writing reports. And those reports go to the behavioral analysts in Virginia. And what their job is to look for other cases that match the profile that they're writing about. I think they get it. I think they understand. And maybe they're trying to put the pieces together just as we are.
I kind of like to know what happened, but I don't think we ever will. Even if they found him, we wouldn't know what happened. I mean, something odd happened, obviously. We just don't know what.
I was there until 11 days. And then I finally said to my oldest son, I can't sit here anymore. I gotta go home.
We came back, I think, for Thanksgiving. That's why we stopped. We were down to just me and some rangers and a couple other guys. That was it by the time it was over.
Well, he's such a sweet dog. He sits in my kitchen window all day long. He sits there and he waits for time to come back. If you go by my house, you'll see the dog in the window.
Did your dad tell you about a sound he heard in the woods that day?
He said he heard some kind of snapping or crack sound that was strange. It wasn't something he normally hears in the woods. He still talks to me about it. I don't know. He almost said it sounded like a big trap closing or something. I don't know, you know.
Anything that you think that the audience should know about your dad or about this incident?
I'll tell you, you really do never know. I mean, they always say you should go in prepared. I mean, we treated that hunt like I was walking out here in the backyard. It was really nothing. You just don't expect it.
An interesting side note to the disappearance of Tom Messick is the case of Fred Drum. About the 10th day of Tom Messick's search, the Department of Conservation Rangers for the state of New York were pulled off of that event and sent 40 miles south to Schuylerville, New York. Fred lived on his rural farm with his wife. Fred was a retired supervisor from his town, was an outdoorsman. On Thanksgiving Day of 2015, Mrs. Drum went to attend a banquet, and when she returned in the afternoon, her husband wasn't there. His car was there, all of his belongings were in the house, but he had simply vanished. There were helicopters, canines. It was a huge, huge SAR. And the eventual outcome was the same as Tom's. It's quite a coincidence that two elderly men, both hunters, disappeared from a rural area, weren't found, and both have been just chalked up to disappearing.
The thing that connects all of the missing 411 cases are the profile points. And these have been gleaned after reading thousands of cases and seeing them come up time after time and realizing that they are part of the underlying story of each of these incidents. If the victim is with others and decides to move away from them and be on their own, that's the point in time something happens and the victim disappears. We call this the point of separation. The most common time for a victim to disappear is in the mid to late afternoon hours. Granite boulders and rock fields. Victims are often found to disappear in the areas of granite or rock fields. Victims found are disappearing near water. This is a very common trait and one that happens anywhere in the world and isn't isolated to a geographical area. There appears to be a weather incident in close proximity to the time that the person disappears or when the search starts. The weather issue can be anywhere from a dust storm to a full-blown blizzard. Disability or illness. Oftentimes, the victim is later found to have either an obvious or a very subliminal disability or illness. Canines can't find a scent or lose a scent quickly. This is an extremely common profile point that's probably in 95% of all the cases that have been documented. This isn't an indictment of search and rescue, but for some unknown reason, the victims are found in an area that had been searched maybe dozens of times. Clothes, shoes removed. A common trait is that the victims are missing clothing or shoes at the time they're found. Unknown cause of death. If the victim is found, and when they go through a medical examination, the coroners can't determine a cause of death. And finally, clusters. There's a geographical clustering effect to the victims that fit the missing 411 profile. There can be anywhere from 3 to 70 or 80 people in each geographical cluster. This is an area that I've always wanted to come to for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's just drop dead gorgeous, but also it's a regional cluster of unexplained missing people going back decades. This is one of those clusters
of the 59 I've documented that really has had intrigue to me over the years. And within this Santa Fe cluster, we're going to focus on 3 very unusual, very mysterious disappearances. The first being 75-year-old Audrey Kaplan disappeared in July 2014. She was with her husband. They had a house here in Santa Fe, and they decided to come up to the ski resort and look for mushrooms. And it was a popular mushroom picking site up in here. And what they did is they hiked up the trail into the wilderness area, and somehow or another they got separated. Well, Audrey, who was in extremely good shape for an older person, couldn't be found, and they started a search for her. Audrey disappeared July 30th, one of the hottest months in the Santa Fe area. Now, there were thunderstorms that happened post-disappearance. That night, they had searchers on scene, and for the following several days, they scoured that mountain. And eventually, days later, one searcher, way off the primary grid area, came upon a very unusual sight. He started to see a camping area that seemed to be pretty much destroyed. And he walked up and he saw a woman in the fetal position in about 4 or 5 inches of water in a creek, deceased, naked. No shoes, no clothing, no nothing. Her face was in the creek. Her entire body was laying on its side in the fetal position. A very strange sight. And the coroner made a determination that was even more unusual than the sight in the creek. And he said that there was no physical evidence that she died of hypothermia, but the determination was hypothermia that killed her. Now, I've read that report 20 times. It makes no sense. She had no distinct injuries to her body, that there was no physical symptoms of hypothermia. He also stated that in his report, her face wasn't in the water. And the crime scene photos clearly show Audrey was completely in that creek. So, a lot of confusing, strange aspects to the Audrey Kaplan disappearance. The second story that involves this exact area, and that's 61-year-old Mel Nadell, who disappeared up in the wilderness, went up to Elk Mountain in the Santa Fe National Forest, elk hunting. What kind of wildlife would somebody find up in the mountains out here?
We're rich. Elk, mule deer, bear, lions.
And the size of the elk and the deer?
Really good trophy quality. New Mexico grows really good animals. We're stingy on our tags. It's a draw system. So hunting's a really big sport. New Mexico is a destination for elk hunters. The numbers of elk are really small compared to our western states, but our hunting quality is really high.
Mel had a slight knee injury. He had stepped in a gopher hole while target practicing a day or two prior. Once Mel met up with his friends at Elk Mountain, and the three made a plan for the evening's hunt. Mel would stick close while the other two would go on a pretty good hike. Mel pointed out a group of trees about 100, 150 yards down the trail while the other two would hike in the opposite direction toward the peak. Did you expect him to come home that night?
No. The following morning, he said he's coming back.
So he's going to camp up there?
Yes.
Spend the night?
Yeah.
And he's done that before?
Yes.
Did Mel ever jog or walk long distances?
No.
So if Mel saw an elk, he's not going to walk 3 miles?
No.
He won't do it?
He doesn't like to walk.
So knowing that, then that really puts confinement on where he would have been.
Yeah. He didn't go hiking with them. The friends went up the mountain, like searching for animals. And then when they get down, the jeep was there. There was no Mel.
But he should have been back by then.
He should been there.
Eventually, another hunter came along with a satellite phone. They called search and rescue. They responded with canines, ground teams, and the canines tracked right to the spot where everyone expected Mel to be at his blind. Now think about this for a minute. If Mel had wandered, maybe shot an elk and traveled to look for it, his tracks and his scent would be past that point, but they weren't. And Mel was carrying a bow. He was carrying a firearm. Where are those items? When he went out hunting, he had a pistol.
And he was carrying it when he was, and we never find it.
Never found the bow?
No.
Did they ever find anything?
No.
Never found anything.
That is the bizarre stuff. How can you if you get lost, isn't it's gonna get heavy to hold on to all of it? There's nothing. Shoes and like one of the arrow will fall or the bow has to drop because those are heavy. Nothing.
Did the search and rescue people say that was odd?
Everybody said it was odd. There's nothing. A shred of clothing, nothing. If he was kind of attacked by a bear, there's no shred of clothing anywhere.
And Bob, how many years have you been guiding?
This is my 25th year.
25th year. And how many years of experience do you have in the mountains surrounding Santa Fe?
I'm 53 now, almost my entire life.
And I know you know the story.
Yep.
What could have happened to him, in your mind?
Here in New Mexico, Roswell, alien abduction. Yeah, really, he had to have gotten a ride out. He had to have been picked up or gotten a ride out there, I assume. If he was a mobile person and a hiking person, he could just be so far off target from where anybody assumed he was going. But in his sense, what we understand, he probably didn't do that.
Right.
He probably didn't take off on a long march anywhere. Yeah, history mystery. What happens to the big jet airliner in the huge ocean?
As strange as Mel Nadell's case was, there was another case much more recently. November 7th, 2017, another hunter disappeared. Stanley came up to an area about 10 miles from where Mel Nadell disappeared in an area called Barillas Peak. And he was in a vehicle with his father and another friend, and they were driving the dirt roads looking for deer. Deer crossed in front of him. Stanley jumped out with his rifle, chasing the deer. And just as he was chasing the deer, fog and heavy rain simultaneously hit that area where he disappeared into. And then he wanders, apparently. That started a 7-day search for Stanley. The canines can't pick up a scent. Helicopters in the air can't see him. Professional trackers can't find any tracks. Fast forward 5 months later, and an off-duty New Mexico State police officer and his son are fishing on the Pecos River. They find a body. He wasn't immediately identified, but the coroner eventually came around to say it was, and that he had some skull injuries and he had 2 broken ribs. Presumption was that he drowned. Stanley's body was found 9 miles from his point of separation. It's another weird disappearance, with this one just happening. Especially in these cluster zones, this is one of those recurring phenomena. It's going to happen again, it's just a matter of time. In talking with Edna, one of the things they found in Mel's Jeep was his GPS. Now that's an important device that will help you get back to your point where you started the hike. And it's supposed to be a trail guide for you. Now personally, I don't think it's unusual that Mel didn't take that, because he knew in himself that he was only going to walk 100, 150 yards down that trail. If you're going to purchase a GPS device, consider it your insurance plan. And this is an example of why you should always carry that insurance plan with you whenever you go into the wilderness hiking, hunting, or sightseeing.
We're paid to hunt for a 5-day period, so we make sure people pack the right gear to be able to stay in the field all 5 days, therefore to increase their odds the highest possible. And so our basic list, and a packing list that I expect hunters to carry in the field, it has their hunting license in it, and it has a bottle of water they're drinking, it has a bottle of water you're not planning on drinking, it has a garbage bag that's the most useful wilderness tool in the world for a raincoat to sit on, to pack something in.
As a hunter, you're like, I'm fine, I'm armed, I'm safe, I'm the baddest thing out here because I have a firearm with me. And then you read more and more and more, and these are people that are more experienced. They've been in the woods more than I have, you know. There's no reason for why these people go missing, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna pack things differently. You change your whole mindset. You take advantage of the technology that you're given today. You've got the sat phone, you've got GPS, you've got all that, but then if you don't want to have to rely on a cell phone signal, if your battery dies or something like that, you know, I've got a whistle, I've got a knife, the knife's got a fire starter. It's just all about, I'm gonna be able to take care of myself.
You know, with the camouflage patterns available today, you got this on right here, it's gonna be hard to get spotted, so carry something bright with you. This is a space blanket. And the reason I grabbed it is because it's fluorescent orange, which is a universal here I am color.
Tell somebody where you're going, tell somebody that's trusted, that is gonna look after you, and tell them what time you're gonna be out. And if you're not out by then and you're not calling them, say it's Lauren that you told, then Lauren, you know, is gonna call the authorities, come out there and look for you. It's super important.
It is, and I've heard you say this many, many times, especially writing about the missing 411, check the weather. If you do get lost, there's common sense rules there. Stay put. Kind of stay close to where you started, especially if you told somebody.
And you know, you don't ever want to like weigh your pack down, but one thing I will never compromise on is extra ammo. There's a 3-shot rule that a lot of people my age, I don't even think they still teach it in hunter safety courses. That's not where I learned it. I learned it from him. And it's not only I'm lost, 3 shots, here's where I am. In addition to that, if I go missing and for whatever reason I don't have that extra ammo, I've used it, I've spent my shells, back at camp, they can fire those 3 shots and you can tune into, okay, I need to turn around, I need to do this.
If you are lost, the best thing you can possibly do is get yourself into an opening and I always tell people, take a coat, take something bright, and whip it around over the top of your head in a big circle, like a set of rotor blades or a rope that you're spinning over your head. It's really, really easy to see that from the air. Typically, we find either the person's alive or, deceased. Not very often do we not find them.
Crazy Mountains are a geological upthrust that is 300 million years younger than the Rocky Mountain Range. So they're not part of the Rocky Mountain Range. They're an isolated island of mountains.
If you're in the Crazies, I don't care where you're at in the Crazies, if you follow a stream down, you're going to be somewhere soon, no matter where you are in these mountains, because they're just an island chain of mountains.
There are several versions of why the Crazy Mountains are called crazy. The one I believe is it's a curse from the Crow Indians, because this used to be Crow Reservation, and when they were moved off the land, the Crow Indians supposedly put a curse on the Crazy Mountains for the wind to blow and drive the white man crazy.
My name's Alan Ronneberg. I'm the undersheriff with the Sweetgrass County Sheriff's Office. I'm also the search and rescue coordinator. I've actually been with the search and rescue for 24 years. I grew up in this community. I've been here, I'm 52 years old now. I've been here all my life. My parents, grandparents, great-grandparents have been here since the 1880s. It's always been an agricultural and mining community. The family ranches have been handed down for over 100 years. The people that work here raise their families here and their kids stay here. And a fantastic place to grow up.
I'm Rebecca Ryan.
I'm Charlie Ryan, and we live in Sweetgrass County, Montana, and the Crazies.
So tell us about the kind of wildlife that we would expect to see in the wilderness.
Deer, whitetail and mule deer, elk, black bear. I don't see many wolves, but they're here.
So no grizzlies up there?
That we know of.
Now, there's been folks that say they've saw grizzlies. We don't have a resident population of grizzly bears yet. I think they're coming, but there's none here now.
The Crazies themselves are unique. They are the youngest mountain range in the country. It's horrendously rugged, and you don't really understand it until you get into it.
Put this on that side right here. They're calling him Zenith.
What supposedly happened as they started on the trail going up to the Campfire Lake, they had a horse wreck. Their mule spooked and started bucking and throwing all their supplies off the trail. All of Aaron's camping equipment was basically on that mule. I know he lost his sleeping bag.
And once they got into Campfire Lake, what happened?
They started their hunt. This was their base camp, and they
went and hunted from here. They were planning a week trip.
Would you describe that he had good common sense?
Yeah, Aaron had good common sense. Aaron wasn't a dummy. I mean, someone that comes up here every other weekend, always hunts up here, has stashes up here. He knows the area like the back of his hand.
They spent 2 days here at Campfire Lake. The one fella had a cache here somewhere below Sunlight Lake. So Aaron was going to go up the trail to Sunlight into the cache and get what he needed.
He was supposed to go up here, grab the cache,
right,
and then come back to his bed.
Come back into Campfire Lake. Later that day, they had called Aaron on the radio.
In a walkie-talkie?
A walkie-talkie. I think it was a Garmin Rhino is what they call them. And on that Rhino, there's an LED screen, and it also gives the GPS position of the person that's talking, as well as their position, back and forth. And when they did that, the GPS position showed him on the very edge of the screen over in this area here on the main Sweetgrass Trail.
Okay, so that's confusing. When he gets to the fork right here.
This fork?
Yeah. How evident is it that there's a fork in that trail to the lake?
Very.
So it's real obvious?
It's very obvious.
So at this point where he's down the trail over here, he's next to a creek, right?
Correct.
And the creek, everyone knows, runs one direction.
Correct.
So for him to get disoriented right here and not know which direction he's going on the trail doesn't make any sense.
No.
At what point do they realize that he's missing?
The next day, actually.
Okay.
And they waited for him for a day and then looked for him for a day. And that's when the storm starts. And the storm is coming in from this way.
Gotcha. How much did it snow?
Between 18 to 24 inches within 12 hours. The temperature was, in the 40s and 50s, and then all of a sudden it was in the teens. And the snowstorm kind of forced him out. We received a call from one of the individuals that was hunting with him, saying that he was overdue and hadn't come out. He hadn't seen him for a couple of days. And they told me Campfire Lake and said, well, you need to get a hold of Park County.
Park County goes out, they start a search.
They start a search in their county. And we go ahead and kind of a military, it'd be a blocking maneuver. There's still 6 to 8 inches of snow, rapidly melting. The temperature's getting better, it's warming up. We don't find anything.
This is a key point. So as you guys are coming up the trail,
right,
you're not seeing any footprints going out.
Negative, right.
Sheriff from Sweetgrass County, Alan.
It's good to see you.
On, I believe it was the second day that I was working that, I had landed with the deputy after dropping off 2 separate dog teams. And because that terrain is so steep and so deep and very, very wild country, started up high and they were going to work the dog teams coming down. And there was a gal with her German Shepherd, I believe, that found a pair of boots.
Diamond 7 Hotel Romeo traffic, 7 mile final runway 12 is an Embraer runway 12 clear for takeoff.
Helicopter 5 Tango Lima, I'll be making a turn up towards northeast to get through Ross Pass.
Roger.
This will be the road that Aaron and his 2 buddies drove in on. Pickup and a horse trailer. I know they had 2 horses and a mule.
Okay, cruising up drainage now. So you guys, the horse wreck happened right up ahead of us. So the trail's over here on this right side.
On the right.
Stays on this bench here for a while. You'll get glimpses of it whenever we go through a meadow. want to make a right-handed turn, fellas, and we're going to follow the rest of the trail here. You can see where the trail is right in front of you, that zigzag. You're going to reveal into Campfire as soon as you look straight down on the other side of this cliff.
Their base camp, they're basing out of Campfire Lake.
So when you come up here, you sit up here and you spot, and that's what they were doing.
Yep.
We were spotting. We saw elk all the time over here, so this is loaded. So we'll go down to the bottom.
And you can see this kind of tough country, even on the trail, to kind of move through.
It is.
It's a workout.
Oh, man.
Going up and down these trails is one heck of a workout.
Oh yeah, you can see the trail easily.
Yeah. And the trail's like this all the way over from Campfire into the Sweetgrass. Yeah, this is the T in the trail.
Trail cuts through those rocks right there.
Yep.
There was fresh snow on the ground. It could have been easy to miss that turn.
He left before it started to snow, though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think it was plumb bare ground when he took off, and it was actually pretty warm out, into the 50s at least. They were right at the county line. We're coming into Sweetgrass County and leaving Park County.
A lot of boulder fields through here.
It is, yeah. And these are all loose. These aren't set. They're all loose. You take one step forward and you slide 2 steps back on each foot. So you're, in our search area, that's what restricted our search area so much. It was so small because you can't get off of the trail very far. You start going across this, it's sharp. If you don't have a pair of hard-soled boots, they're going to eat your feet. Even into the timber is loose rock all over the place. Immediately from the boots, there's a scree pile. If he was barefoot, he would have tore up his feet immediately.
Coming up to the
falls now.
Probably have to turn around to see them better.
Yeah. This is the bench above the falls where the boots were found. And this bench is nice and subtle. It's kind of protected.
I'll walk that way to the
And you're
creek.
limited where you can go.
That was right there.
Yeah, it was right under them bushy trees,
the
actually.
little bushy trees, yeah. Right in here. Close to the creek. There are ways down into the creek that you can do it. And especially underneath the falls here, you can get into this creek. And when we searched this entire flat. After we found the boots, we picked through this like nobody's business. I had a bunch of people, and it was like a type 3 search is what we did.
So we had evidence here. At the falls, we find, there's a pair of boots, set purposely, side by side. Next to that is basically a water bladder out of like a camelback water bladder. Just off the trail, there is a fire pit. And in that fire pit was a partially burnt cigarette container that we knew that was Aaron's brand. Also in the immediate vicinity are fire bundle, partially burnt. Alongside that, in the fire pit, were the 2 waist belts from a backpack.
Straps that come around,
right?
And the pack sits on your hips.
Correct.
Is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're talking about, yeah.
Why would anybody take those off?
Cut them off. There's a little bit of insulation in there because they're padded, and you can slip your hand in there. They're a little bit of protection.
Right.
That's the first thing we thought of. That's about the only thing that made any sense. Why a person would take that waist belt off.
That must have been a little confusing to the searchers.
Absolutely. Plus, I'll throw another little bit of wrinkle in there. They were up in the same spot a day or 2 days before and never saw those items, never come across those items.
Same spot.
Same people, same spot. And they said that they never saw those boots. They never saw any of that.
How's that possible?
I don't know. These are seasoned guys. They do good at their job. They're SARTEC 2 rated through NASAR. They know what the heck they're doing. When they see the waist belt cut off and then the items laid out, it's starting to look like hypothermia. If you look at evidence from hypothermia cases in the wild or in remote areas, this is kind of the behavior that you see. So I narrow my search, both sides of the creek, all the way as far up onto the slope as I can get, because we didn't think if he was bad enough that he was setting stuff, he wasn't gonna get very far.
So somebody who's that hypothermic isn't going to go far?
You wouldn't think so, no.
So the area east of the falls, you guys covered that pretty thick.
Oh yeah, yeah, we turned over everything.
And you're a former canine handler.
Correct.
So did dogs hit on anything?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Well, every spring we maintain our fences, so we can graze our cattle the way we want to. So it's just an annual spring thing. And my father-in-law was here, just happened to be with me. And just, you can see the ridge up there where a section of fence runs between us and our neighbors, and just annual routine. And I was going over the fence and he was kind of hiking around, and
He looked down and he saw an orange vest. So he went down just to go pick it up, and then that's what he proceeded to find the backpack and everything else. So in his mind, he thought, well, what hunter lost his stuff up here?
And he comes down off of there just like grinning from ear to ear, just, hey, was there a hunter lost up here? I'm like, yeah, actually there was. Oh, cool. Well, his license is still in here, in his pack. Okay, so I look at it, and it was Aaron Hedges.
Did you recognize the name?
Oh yeah, I recognize the name. I mean, there was helicopters flying up way up the valley up there, and a big search, and it was in the local press.
And inside, was there any food?
There was snack bars.
There was nutrition inside.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the backpack, I understand, was actually leaning against a tree.
Correct.
So somebody just didn't strip it off and drop it.
Nope.
They put it there with intent.
They put it there with intent. They put it there purposely, and it was protected.
Okay, and what was in the backpack? I understand you found a gun.
Correct. 44 Ruger Red Hawk, I believe it was.
Did you find the bow?
Yes. It was alongside the backpack, evidently. In our search, another interesting point, I guess. When we searched this area, here at the head of this ridge, where it starts to drop off, was a cup, a thermos cup. And beside that cup was a, open energy drink. Somebody had, basically sat down and drank a cup of tea.
That's an odd sight.
Uh-huh. Yep, absolutely.
What do you think when you see that?
What the hell's this guy doing? And from this point, you could see the Ryan buildings.
From where the cup is?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they're right there. They're right down there.
And could he see a road?
Yes.
Does that make any sense to you?
No, it doesn't, because, well, I don't know if it makes sense to me or not, but it is funny.
So you don't find a body after your search. You guys...
No. You know, we couldn't cover a large area, and we didn't have a lot of time to be able to do that.
It wasn't a life or death situation at this point.
No, not at that point. It was evidence recovery.
So how far does it go on for the next thing to happen?
Another year. Off of the Sweetgrass Ranch, which is a dude ranch, they have a dude ride. A string of dudes, guests at the ranch were on this ride. And as they come up the hill on a little bench, one of the guests looks over and went, "Hey, there's a skull over there." And lo and behold, there's a human skull underneath the tree. I mean, just pretty as a picture, bright as a penny, underneath a dead tree.
You go back out.
Sure do.
And what do you find?
We find the skull and the remains, and where we find that is right here. We did find the pelvis and one femur on a cow trail, partially buried. I did find Aaron's cell phone, a jacket, like what you're wearing, a thin jacket.
Any pants?
Pants? No. I don't believe we found any pants. I can't remember.
Socks?
Were they? No, because we didn't find any feet.
No feet?
Right.
Did any of his bones appear to be broken, like the femurs?
No.
Did the coroner come up with any cause of death?
No.
He could have seen the creek.
He could have, yes, he could have seen the creek.
So there he had water. I understand that there was also a lighter in his backpack.
I think so, yeah, probably.
So he could have made fire.
Mm-hmm.
He had a gun, he could have signaled help. He had food, he could have eaten. Well, you're a nurse.
Yes.
So you understand hypothermia and how it affects the body. That distance, somebody said, well, you know, he was hypothermic way back at the falls, that's why he took his boots off. Okay, great, if you're hypothermic then, how in the heck are you gonna make it all that distance?
And that's, you know, that's the other thing. If he was hypothermic, why didn't he drop his bow? Why was he still packing that? That's a heavy thing to be packing, your backpack.
Mm-hmm. This all doesn't add up to me.
Nope.
Does it add up to you in any way?
No. No, and you go through your lost person behavior, your behavior as exposure takes a hold of you, and it just, none of it makes any sense.
There's two things that bother me most about the Hedges case. First, I'd like to know what caused Aaron to change course so drastically. Even if he had missed the turn to the cache, he'd eventually know he had gone too far merely by the fact he's walking adjacent to the creek that's flowing downhill away from the location he's supposed to be. This was an experienced hunter who hunted here often, and this was a full 2 days before any bad weather. The second major issue is his body being found 6 miles from the falls, where he apparently shed his boots under the theory of extreme hypothermia. Somehow, while hypothermic, he carries his bow, his backpack, a jacket, his cell phone, and thermos 6 miles through 1.5 feet to 2 feet of fresh snow with no shoes. Then sits on a rock overlooking safety. His remains were found 11 miles from the camp he was supposed to return to. It's too much. This is one strange case.
I never take those mountains for granted. Every time I drive home from the east, it's like, oh, there they are, there's our mountains. It's the best place on earth. You know, it's the prettiest place on earth. We're prejudiced.
Where we are here in Sonora, you see the remnants of the 1800s in just about every place. It's an old mining town. Sonora is kind of at the lower foothills of the mountain, and as you head eastbound, heading up into the forest, the dense, wild forest where there is no more cities, it becomes even clearer to you that this place is not like other places, that there's sort of a strange sense of mystery that abounds. My name is Giuseppe Recapito. I'm a police and courts reporter here at the Union Democrat newspaper in Sonora, Tuolumne County, California.
So in a county like this, do you have a lot of homicides?
Not necessarily. There's been a handful, maybe, in the past couple years, and none of them are unsolved.
Your county goes all the way up into the high mountain area, correct?
Yeah, it spreads all the way over into the Sierra Nevada mountain range, all the way to Sonora Pass.
There's a gorgeous lookout up there. Tell us about that.
If you are traveling up that corridor, which passes through the county, Highway 108, you basically advance up a steep grade. You're fascinated by how lush it is, right? The wildlife, the trees. And as you wind up further and further up this grade, you get the feeling like you've lost it, or you're lost, or you're never gonna find it, because it's a single turnoff, a single sign pointing to you to the left. It's called Donald Vista, and it's sort of, I've been thinking about it, it's like etched into the mountainside. If you're standing there at the lookout point, right, and you're overlooking that area, you're seeing these crags of rock jutting out, and I couldn't even tell you how far, the blips of a river far down below. As you look over, you say to yourself, if you fall down here, you're not going to survive.
We just left the Vista. Just a quarter-mile east, Breck Phelps' vehicle was found at this turnout onto this small old dirt road that eventually leads and turns into a trail down by the Stanislaus River. Pastor found the vehicle here because he knew Breck had fished here in the past, and that's where the search started. They brought in Cobra helicopters, 4 dog teams. There was even some bad weather that hindered the search for a short period of time. They found nothing after many days of looking for the man. He was never found.
The strangest thing about Breck Phelps' disappearance was that it seemed to align or parallel itself to the previous disappearances that had happened in that same region. Patty Sue Tolhurst and Nita Mayo, both commonly, like Breck Phelps, left their car within a quarter mile of that vista point.
Well, the true oddity of this location is that we have 3 people in 11 years that have disappeared from essentially one spot. That is very odd.
It's easy to say these people slipped on a rock and they fell into the river canyon, right? But then why haven't we found remains?
When you're walking on the paved path, you've got boulders all around you. And it's something that I've written about hundreds of times. You just can't ignore it. And here
it raises its face again right in amongst a cluster of missing people. Did you ask the sheriff what their feelings were?
The sheriff's office doesn't like to speculate. The sheriff's office it's a real cut and dry, black and white. We found him or we didn't. This case is open until it's closed. The one thing that I wanted to bring up is in April before the disappearance of Breck Phelps, in April 2016, they did find human remains over in that area. They didn't match Patty Sue Tolhurst, nor did they match Nita Mayo. They tested the dental records. And so it was just like, what are these? And this is before the disappearance of Breck Phelps.
Did they ever ID the remains?
No.
So we don't know who it was?
No. People aren't talking about this story anymore. The news cycle being very, I'm doing 2 stories a day. But if it does happen again, people are going to be reminded of these past stories, and it's going to only increase speculation and increase the sense of concern.
Now, if you just step out from this area a little further, there's also a larger cluster in geographical area where there's 3 people missing so close to Yosemite National Park, and the biggest cluster of missing people in the world. I don't know why, I don't know where, I don't know how, but I don't think it's coincidence. Now, within this region, there's a hunting camp dating back to the 1950s. Over the years, the hunters have experienced something highly unusual. And by proximity alone, this is worth investigating.
And just so people can get some idea, we're not that far outside of Yosemite.
We're not far at all. No. I tell people we're between Yosemite and Tahoe, and that's where we are. If you leave at 6,000 feet elevation, you hike into close to 10,000 feet before you start dropping back into up and down. The whole topography up here changes every year. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what log's going to cross the trail that you have to work your way around to get here. There's really no good trails to get here. And if you don't know where it's at, you'll never find it. It's just one of those places.
What year did the Sierra Camp start?
The camp's been here since the 50s. I didn't start coming up until 1971.
And do you know what brought him to this spot?
Just one of those spots that Warren used to say, this is as close to heaven as he thinks he'll ever get. It's so remote. The deer are plentiful. There's a lot of bear up here. It's pristine. There's a lot of granite, fresh water coming right out of the ground. This is where the springs start. And it goes down to the rivers, and it's just a gorgeous place to be. We was all a very sober camp, a very strict camp. No unload before you came into camp. No alcohol was here. It was really quite a disciplined camp. All the guys were professional people, so we kept what was going on up here, whatever it was, we don't know, but kind of to ourselves for a long time.
And what was the average success rate for you guys coming up here?
Oh, the deer, it was 100%. We never didn't get a deer. It's that kind of a place. That's about 40 feet, I think.
Hunters that come out of here, what's their success rate? You said maybe 20%.
We'll think things through. We really didn't realize what we were dealing with. We still don't know what we're dealing with, but it was something very unusual. Strange things happen, and most of the stuff happened in the evening time, just at dusk, nighttime, like now. The first time I ever heard anything was later in '71. I came back up with the guys and we was here by the stove. There was a stove here then. And as soon as it starts getting dark, we'd go in. Sometimes you might hear a grunt or a whoop or a big blowing sound or something like that, and that's when you know you want to get inside the shelter because you still don't know what you're dealing with. Whatever it is big, very, very big. We all go inside, close the shelter door, and that's a log that we put between these trees, and then we'd strap it inside a cable. And then they would start making their sounds. And that was in '71 when I first started hearing them, and we started recording them.
There's two of them across the creek at the big rocks. We were all talking about maybe having to shoot our way out. You're just sitting there, all of you are kind of petrified. You're just waiting for the walls to break open, something reach in there and grab you and hold you up, and waiting for the light to break in the cracks of the walls, and never happened. That's the strange part, because you hear it over there, but you don't see it over there. As time went on, '72, same thing. You know, whatever it was, we thought might be trying to scare us out. Maybe this is their territory, but we don't know. We can only guess at why they were doing what they were doing, and but they were observing us, that's for sure.
Well, we do know that their vocal range is much greater than human beings. Their frequencies go way above and way below the abilities of humans. I was trained in all of the deceptive practices in voice communications. Besides the fact that you have the creatures stepping on each other in their conversational turns, you have the humans, like Ron, stepping on the creatures back and forth, overlapping their voices on the tapes. That can't be faked. Not in 1974. Plus, it would be extremely dangerous to come up here at night into a camp full of well-armed hunters. They don't go to bed at night without their guns at their sides. Yeah, it's ridiculous to think of it. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it just to hoax a bunch of hunters up here.
So from a 100% factual standpoint, we really don't know what's making this language sounds.
That's right. We don't know. One time I heard a big, sound like a huge tuning fork above us, and you couldn't find the source of it. It was just a big sound like that. Sometimes you'd hear a sound out here, and one time we thought our camp was being torn apart by something. We thought the barrels we'd packed in and was being torn up and tossed around, and You look out here when all the commotion and the sound stop and there's nothing changed. Now, how do you explain that? You know, one time we was in there, I thought I heard a car door slam out here. Now, come on, we're 8 miles in the wilderness. There's no...
So aside from the sounds, you also saw some things in the sky and the air?
Yeah, lights, yeah, orbs. Other guys have reported orbs when I wasn't here. Me and my friend Bill saw one night was a big blue ball coming down from up here, slowly moving, definitely controlled, and had some type of intelligence about it. And if you were just looking up there, you would think it was the moon, but it was blue, it was moving down. We lost it behind the trees and went over there. So I don't know what to think of that. You don't know what to think about any of this stuff, you know. We were in a tent, it just almost, it wasn't this dark, but this thing, what it was, just kind of starts moving across over here behind us. Elongated light, about probably 3 foot long, probably about that big around, and just a rod of light. I tell people when I talk about it, it's like a Star Wars saber. White, glowing, but not bright glowing, just glowing. And it just moved slowly through the trees, definitely controlled, and dissipated over here.
Is it embarrassing to talk about?
No, I don't care. I'm old enough now, nothing bothers me.
What makes you keep coming back?
The mystery that's still here. There's still a mystery that needs to be solved or understood. And I'm here now because you're here. I've been asked multiple times to be brought up here by different people, and I've turned them down basically because I don't want the area. It's such a pristine area still. I don't want it exposed to a bunch of researchers come up here, just inundating the area. And I've also told the hunters that still come up and their offsprings, which still hunt the area, you know, that I'll kind of keep it very private as much as possible. The shelter, although it's been dismantled now years ago, it's still a place to come to. It was interesting stuff. Nothing surprises me, nothing up here. Why this is such a strange place, I have no idea, but it is a very interesting area.
We spent 7 days with Ron and Scott at the Sierra camp. And although we didn't experience anything paranormal, this area holds many secrets that we know for sure. The last case I want to investigate is even a little deeper down the rabbit hole. It's not about a missing hunter, but instead about a strange experience one hunter faced in Lima, Ohio. It's important to note that this isn't a connection to the missing. It's simply an odd event that's worth looking into, and it's associated with one of the smartest people I've ever met.
There's a difference, I guess, between being freaked out by things that you imagine and being freaked out by things that you actually see.
This, I have to say, was the most terrifying experience, but yet I don't know why I didn't react to it, and that bothers me. The hunting in Ohio is awesome. We have some great big trophy deer in Ohio, and we happen to have some of the biggest right here on our own property. was the most beautiful night to deer hunt. It was the second day of season. I wanted to be getting my, run in the woods to hunt. I was really excited about it. There was band over at the high school. By the time I got to my deer stand, I could hear them. It was all settled in. Didn't see nothing coming down the pass. Trails of birds, crickets, everything were normal wood sounds. When you're hunting, you have two of your most keenest senses, is your hearing and your eyesight. All of a sudden, the woods went to this dead quiet. If I had dropped a pin out of that deer stand, it cut off. No birds, no crickets, no nothing. The sun's still up. We were not calling for bad weather that night. It was a great night to hunt. All of a sudden, I thought I had like a mote in my eye. I even took my finger and wiped my eye, like when you get that fogginess over your eye, like it's just, I look and I'm thinking, what is this thing in the trees? It looked like a large piece of saran wrap. It's the only way I can describe it. But this thing was very wide. So I'm up 14 foot and it hung quite a ways down. And I'm thinking, what is this thing? It didn't really scare me at that time until it moved and formed the arm that reached over to the other tree. It reached over about 12 to 14 foot, and then it all, like a blob, like sucked into it, and it went to the whole other tree. I had this very euphoric feeling like something ain't right here. Normally at that time, I'd have probably got down and stopped hunting, but for some reason I didn't.
So, as you're sitting in your blind and you're looking across, where did the blob come from?
I have no idea. It just appeared in the one tree. As it was moving through the woods, it went from like tree to tree, and then it disappeared. It didn't continue on. So where it went, I don't know. It's like it just, right before my eyes, vanished. And I don't remember taking the picture, but being married to who I'm married to, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, he always said, if you see anything weird, get a picture. I don't recall actually when either that the sounds had returned, because it's like I don't remember. That's not me to this day. Normally I would probably crawl down, come run in the house and say, you ain't gonna believe what's back there in them woods.
How much longer do you think you stayed in the stand?
About a half hour till sundown when it's time to come out.
The sequence of this is Jan goes out to hunt. We have guests show up. We're having dinner. She comes back from the hunt. She says nothing about what happened. It was strange. The guests are about ready to leave. Later on, Matthew sends me an email. There was a sighting by a number of students and faculty at the high school band practice just before dark.
I'm like, holy crap, maybe it has something to do with what I saw in the woods. And Bruce goes, what? And I said, I forgot to tell you about what happened in those woods to me tonight. And I'm reading this from Matthew, and then I started I get goosebumps. He said this light appeared above the big stadium lights of the football field. Had Matthew not sent that email, I'm not sure if I'd have remembered even that night to say anything.
How many kids were on the field?
At least 30 to 40, I would say.
And was that the high school band?
Yes.
And so this was just before you guys went back to school?
Yes, band camp. Late August.
Late August. So what time of night do you think that was?
Between 6 and 7. We were rehearsing normally out here about 6, 7 o'clock, doing our normal routine, when all of a sudden there was this bright light in the sky that just came out of nowhere. And we all just kind of stopped and looked at it as one.
Where was the light?
So the light was anywhere, it was above the tree line for sure, just kind of hovering in the skyline. Close enough that it could catch your attention, like it shouldn't have been there, I guess. If it was some man-made thing, it was too low to be there.
Okay. What was the weather like that night?
Clear and hot. Typical August Ohio weather.
Okay. What color was it?
Candle orange. As far as I could tell, the thing had no definable edges to it. There were no like dimensions. It was just kind of waxing and waning till it just zapped out. You know, our band director, who never stops for anything, he stopped and turned around and looked at us and he goes, you know, what the hell was that? Before I had time to even like think about what I was seeing, it was gone. And then it was just kind of like an imprint in your mind, like I've seen something strange.
So in your gut, are the two issues related?
I often wonder now. All I can say is it happened within the same time frame, basically, as my experience here. Probably a half a mile over there as the crow would fly.
This is a blackberry. On the back, you have the lens. It's not like the modern ones that have a camera on the front as well as the camera on the back. So I'd be taking your picture right now, but I would not be taking my picture. Something happened to that camera. I don't know what, but there's hard evidence of some weird thing that happened. She took a couple of pictures of herself before the event, which provide a fixed point of investigation, you might say. And she took another picture afterwards. So you have the camera phone doing its normal thing before and after, but right in the middle of this one photo, there's something bizarre happened. The picture she took, the resolution somehow changed for that one picture. You could manually change the cell phone to 1600 by 1200, 1024 by 760 or something like that, and 640 by 480. But it got changed to 500 by 400 or something. Numbers that don't exist. I don't know how to make it do that resolution. You'd have to get in there and rewire it somehow, or change the software. But even changing the software doesn't change the number of pixels along the edge of the sensor. I don't know how to explain this filmetry stuff. And I can't imagine what it looks like is well focused. I don't know what that is.
I've had people write to me and say, well, what that is Jan took a picture of her own hair.
My hair was back through the back of the ball cap. Where it adjusts, it was tied back.
So there was no part of you that could have been in that
No way, no way.
It would be possible for her to take a picture of her hair if she put her hand back there. But that wouldn't change the resolution of the camera or the bite size of the picture.
So Jan, let me ask you, since that has happened, has it changed your life?
Yeah, I've never been back in that woods to hunt that. I actually ended up buying a redneck deer blind. I mean, I want something surrounding me.
You can imagine if you saw in the woods some strange thing like that, like the predator, you'd probably be leery about going back there again too.
When looking at these cases individually, Aaron Hedges, Tom Messick, Mel Liddell, it's easy to pass them off as isolated, strange occurrences, anomalies. But when you look from an informed perspective and you see hundreds of victims following the same profile points scattered throughout our national forests and national parks, you have to stop and question the reality of it. Is it possible for an 82-year-old man with heart, eye, and hearing issues to simply vanish while sitting alone in the woods? Can a man with severe hypothermia hike 6 miles through 1.5 to 2 feet of snow with no shoes? In many of the cases, rifles, pistols, and archery equipment are never found. These items don't blow away, and animals don't drag them off. Sometimes their remains are found miles and miles off track, where the victim had no intention of ever going. Often they're found in an area that's been searched dozens of times. It's like they've been placed there after the searchers have left. To this point, we've investigated close to 1,200 cases that fit the missing 411 profile. They're not all hunters. Some are children, Some are people vacationing in national parks. Some are just out taking a walk in nature. Each are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding.
Some freaky ass facts about that shit. In that Bigfoot expedition show, they actually alleged that the military know about them, and the military are trying to learn how they fucking reflect or fucking move in and out of dimensions, or fucking either bend their hair to deflect fucking light and become invisible. One of the two, they think they do. Is that?
Oh, there's my baby. Hello. There's my girl. Hi, baby. Hello.
Hey there. That woman got to see the predator.
Yeah, that's
what it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting. That was really interesting.
Some weird facts. How the things would turn up after they'd already been searched, and a year apart. Like they found that backpack, his gun, and that, right? And then a year later, his skull was found sitting on the rock near it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
if it is
something was coming back and placing things.
Man, if it is an interdimensional thing there could be a time component.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Weird ass shit.
Am I still muted?
Oh, that's gonna be nice, eh?
Yeah. Should be. Oh, good now. Okay, groovy.
A nice topaz bean.
Topaz beans. Yeah, weird.
I heard of something similar to that, Mark, but I think it had something to do with like them Montauk children or whatever. Sitting in a chair and then they appear on Mars. Yeah.
Hmm. 60 seconds to Mars. 60
Wait.
seconds to Mars is like, theoretically, that's the speed of light. How long it would take at the speed of light is a theory.
I'd wait till spring's there, unless you got some
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, don't pop anything in winter unless you've got a heated pad and keep it at 24 degrees, man. It's not worth it. And if it is a topaz seed, it's been radiated, so chances are it's not going to pop.
Man, if Bigfoot actually see in a different fucking wavelength than we see, and they've worked out therefore that we can't see in therefore a certain wavelength, and have just worked out when to fucking shift fucking in and out of that whenever we're present.
Well, that makes sense.
We can only see in a small part of the spectrum.
Yeah, then we only ever get to catch them when we catch them unawares, right? And then they just disappear out of view. Right? And people get classed as nutters.
Indeed. Oh.
Have you seen there's some guy on YouTube who does videos if you get, I think from old TVs, they had some screen on them. People use them to focus light or something like that. You can modify it. Anyway, he modifies it so light bends around it so you can stand behind it.
Yeah, I've seen.
It'll reflect whatever fucking is directly behind him, so it's like he's not even there.
Yeah, the military were experimenting with stuff like that at one point in time, and it's very much like just a space blanket that you'd literally throw over the top of yourself. They put a lot of millions into research, and I don't know whether they actually perfected it.
There used to be footage on the internet of around the last Iraq fucking incident, fucking couple of tanks, I mean 3 tanks in a row, one comes in like a IED maybe gets it or something. People get out and they're walking around looking or what happened, trying to figure out what happened or if they were just attacked or something like that. And fucking anyone around. And then they wind the footage back, and before the tank gets there, you can see what sort of looks like the Predator, like that sort of glitch running around on the screen. And at one point, it runs up and climbs on top of the tank. It's just laying on top of it. There was talk that was U.S. military.
Not a surprise. Which one's which? Yeah. Well, that was an interesting documentary, that, actually.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of similar cases that can't be explained. It's interesting. Don't know if it proves anything or even suggests anything. It's just weird. Anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to go and make some dinner because I haven't had my dinner yet. So I was looking at 9:30. I'm going, I wonder I'm feeling peckish.
All right, mate.
Yeah, good stream, mate. Thanks for letting us know it was on, Pete.
No, that's good. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it was good, mate. Well, easy to. Wow, 3 hours. 3 hours. Holy shit.
Not a problem. course, and yeah, thank you for putting all that stuff up.
Oh, mate, I can find like you if you let me know what you're looking for, I'll find it. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, later, guys. Have a good night, everyone. Bye, on.
Bye, Nexus.
Good night.
Yes. Later, guys.
What do you reckon? Or pop call it?
Yeah. Straight away.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, Banana Farmer, for sure.
Did you fall asleep, Green? No? Stuck in the tank, fall asleep. Yeah, I'm pretty grained out after tonight, after the 3 hour stream, actually. Smoking the whole time. I struggled with my cough on the last one. Hope everyone enjoyed tonight's show. Yeah. Pizza. Oh, Pizzagate will get fucking emotions stirred. Anything like that makes people want to go out, get a gun, and take it to these cunts, mate. Wonder why they get away with it. I should be saying that stuff on a live either. Yeah, Sunshine he's got the flu hard, so he texted us tonight before the stream to let us know what I'm going to be jumping up. I'm here, man. PPP were thinking he could carry us for this week.
And then Nexus just happened to jump in.
Yep. And that video was probably some of the best shit I'd seen, actually.
Yeah. Sunshine will be back next week. No props, Dave.
That was some fucking weird shit. 40 minutes, mate. And King sat there and changed formation. And copped a fucking round halfway through that, like at the 28-minute mark or whatever, was it?
Yeah.
And just shrugged that off. I didn't even care, they didn't.
When you play it back on YouTube, you can slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow the playback speed. So yeah.
Yep. Sit down, put it frame by frame and see exactly how it bounces off that first one.
Yeah, it was to go off and see if that object actually maybe decreases in contrast for a moment.
Yeah, I'm
To
posting this green.
back up that
Hanson.
theory that it slipped into a dimension for a second to avoid the blast and came back.
Yeah, I've been watching and a little bit on JFK lately and Detente. Right? Looked into bloody Oliver Stone's thing on his fucking conspiracy into fucking Mick fucking executing him because they didn't want fucking world peace. Right? Too much money to be made with by wars.
Yeah.
Well, that's some weird shit. I didn't know that about the two, though. Born same day, died the same day. Hundreds of years apart. What the fuck? Oh, wow, that's another fucking twist as well.
Yeah. Trippy.
Both alleged assassins, so I wouldn't have probably no fucking arguing John Wilkes Booth's fucking involvement.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a given, wasn't it?
Yeah. Broke his leg jumping off the stage, fucking.
Yeah, he did it in front of everyone at the theatre and then ran away.
Yeah. Yeah, both with 3-part names. What's with Patsy names like that with 3-part? You'd think they would have vetted, but they didn't have such a thing as fucking, like, what, after Lincoln got assassinated was when they fucking changed the Secret Service's job from fucking hunting down bootleggers to protecting fucking the president's life. Or something like that, I think it was. I'm not sure. Like, they had some other job, I know that, before fucking he was assassinated.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know, he had him there that day, but fucking no doubt that would have changed how it operated after that.
I think they only had like a bodyguard that day and stuff like back then. Before then, they didn't have like the whole thing, how they do it, ever since after he got thing.
Oh yeah, now if they're gonna go for a drive, fucking
It was his execution, like his assassination, that brought in that fucking urgency to fucking protect the president, no? Even though I'm pretty sure a few after got assassinated.
Yeah, I think Reagan got shot in the gut.
Yep. Carter nearly got shot by fucking the fucking the cult dude's fucking chick. Manson's chick trying to shoot Carter or something in the park.
Wow. Yeah, I knew they were crazy. No,
I thought about doing a thing on Detente and JFK. Okay.
Hey, Bong on King B. Oh.
I don't know how much we've gone. Hunting Hitler too. He died. And just reading about Borman and the fucking shit what happened like with him. Like how he was supposedly killed in an artillery barrage a couple of blocks from the fucking Reichstag fucking bunker, trying to escape. But yet when they excavated there, they could never find a body. They'd done 2 excavations since the end of World War II, before 1970. But then in 1970, they come up with a skeleton fucking that said was Borman's and was found through some excavation that was never ever announced. But yet when they examined the skeleton, there was this red mud that was found to be only fucking like endemic to Brazil. Went and dumped a skeleton in the middle of the Atlantic. It could never be fucking looked at again.
Well, paperclip did exist. Everyone knows that. And obviously they bought more over than they said they did. And the ones that lived in South America, they had to have known about them. They just let them be.
A lot of them lived there before the war, and I definitely knew about them for sure. What they can do about them, 2 different things. What they could do about them, you could try and stop them getting to there, or pressure those governments to fucking hand them over if they ever got there. But depending if they ever fucking made fucking a wave as they got there, though, like. Eichmann and fucking that other bastard seemed to live there fucking and get away with it for a long, long time.
America's got a bit of history going into South America and just doing.
Oh yeah, they definitely went in there and did look. They did follow up on a lot of the fucking sightings and stuff.
Kill them, they would.
Operation Paperclip was more about snatching up the best fucking Nazi minds that were fucking behind the rockets and stuff, though. So stopping fucking Russians getting hold of them.
That's why we know about it, because they talk about how they bring Warner and his crew back.
The Vatican had a lot to do with getting most of the Nazis that were on wanted lists that never got captured and did escape to South America. The Vatican is responsible for. And they were handing out false fucking identities through the Red Cross. I haven't heard that one, but man, I know fucking I've heard some other woman that claims to be his daughter in Germany. I won't accept that she may be or something like that. I've seen Merkel being his daughter would be weird, but wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, she was pretty timid compared to him then.
Yeah. She probably is. I wouldn't surprise. Like, who knows how many women he was getting the fuck at the time. And plus, like, fucking the SS fucking baby factories they had just to fucking breed little Aryan little fucking soldiers.
Yeah.
Married SS men were allowed to come back and have fucking intermarried relations just to knock up other fucking Aryan women, just to breed little soldiers. Wouldn't surprise me if they were doing that with fucking at the same time they're whacking Hitler up with fucking bull semen. They're probably sucking his own semen out of his sack and they fucking artificially inseminating it into women.
Yeah, if they were pumping it full of testosterone and testosterone and some amphetamine and.
Yeah, before he had his nights with fucking Eva Braun, they used to whack him up with bull semen. So you get him up.
Okay. I was watching something the other night. Apparently, Italy was trying to get out of or Mussolini was trying to get the country out of it, and Hitler went to see him, and they whacked him up before they left, and they whacked him up again on the plane, and I reckon he spoke for 72 hours, just yelled at him, and he had no time to say anything, and they were still in the war.
Hey, Gigi.
Hey, Gigi. Yeah, it was pretty trippy.
Yeah.
I was I really thought it was gonna be like
Hey.
speed or something like that. There's someone wrote in there banana
Adrena Crow.
but it was weird that he was awake because I thought it was because there was a couple of opioids mixed in it as well.
Yeah, they were like he'd be on fucking an upper all day, and then so he could sleep at night time. They'd fucking give him huge doses of fucking opiate. They'd just snatch a few hours of sleep. Then fucking get him back up all perpy, fucking.
All farmer grade too, eh?
I was just saying recently into that fucking. Who's that American dude? Lindbergh. Fucking that flew across fucking around the world. Across the Atlantic. Yeah, his first child got fucking kidnapped and murdered. I'm just saying into something because he was a Nazi and a eugenist. Right? And because his first child had some fucking was born with spina bifida or something like that.
Yeah.
They reckon maybe he was the one who was behind the kidnapping and killing of his child. Well, his alibi doesn't match up. Like he's supposed to, he would talk at some fucking thing that night, but yet fucking left to go and talk, but then come home half an hour early, right? And he was the one who discovered the child missing. But yet never really had any good reason for why he didn't fucking continue on to the fucking thing.
Crazy views.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're giving everything a go back then. They're prepared to jab all these different drugs into the guy running the show. You know, they obviously would have had a part to play in how crazy he went. Not saying he wasn't already a bit nuts, but a day he could, you know, be on that much for that long and
Definitely would have sped up the Parkinson's and that.
Oh, damn. That would help.
Like the last couple of videos you see of it and that, his fucking hands shaking like a motherfucker. And got clenched behind his back to try and hide it. I think Putin's doing the same thing now, like with things that weird fucking. Especially when he was sitting in with his fucking little meeting with fucking Minister of fucking Defense or whatever, Shoigu or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I wonder though if he, say something did happen to him, would they back off or?
I don't know. I think maybe you could, like it'd depend who's able to seize power in those first fucking little bits of the vacuum. Like Stalin was never meant to head the USSR. Lenin fucking gave instructions for that, but yet he was able to outsmart fucking the people that were the dude who was meant to fucking take over. Exiled him and then killed him. And then murdered hundreds of millions of his own people until he died. So
Oh yeah. Hey, later, Mongo.
catch him out. Have a good night, mate. About that time.
Bang on up.
Wrong on, Hope. Good to hear, Hope.
No. That didn't work.
Liking your vape, PTP?
Yeah, I was hitting it earlier. Bags work well. Whip function, not so much.
The Fair Growth stuff is awesome, eh? It's still got that minty, you know, that minty taste you get from outdoors. But fuck, it rocks you. Like, it's making me sleepy. That's why I'm a bit fucking quiet. I was wondering why I felt a bit sleepy. I was like, shit, I'm tired. I wonder what. And then I realized I actually hit Fair's weed. So it must have been his weed that made me tired.
Indica.
I've been smoking Dallas for the past 3 hours, 4 hours. I'm pretty lit.
Yeah, so I'm pleasantly surprised. So I ended up mixing it with my weed just to get that combination.
Do you know which one it is?
No, I got no idea. I think it was his bigger plant. That was good live, lads, eh? Good work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I
We've
enjoyed
gone
it.
for a while. Time to wrap it up.
On that note, I'm going to cruise, boys. So I'll swing through, have another Billy. Be on the way. Fucking, I'll be heading to bed soon. It's 9:30.
Thanks for dropping in.
Fucking tired. Fair's weed's got me tired. That's good.
Nice.
Because I waited for a bit. I tried some last week. I sort of like forgot about it and, you know, left it there. I figured, okay, give it another hit crack and give it time. Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, boys, take care, sleep well, and bong on.
Bye. Hope so. Have a good night. Alright, I might wrap up this stream. Thank you for jumping in, sharing. Good night.
Yeah, thanks everyone for popping in.
Enjoyed the stream. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for the 420 film P2P channel next week. Catch us.